On YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
This is Freddie and Harry on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Jalen Waddle's a player that was desperately needed in Denver, in my opinion. I love how Miami utilized him in having cadet splits. If you're a single receiver, just one guy having a close cadet split, we used to call that nasty. If it's two guys, we call it classy. So whether you want to be nasty or classy, just know Jalen Waddle is coming at you full throttle.
Check out more from Freddie and Harry weekdays at 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
The NBA is happening now on ABC and the ESPN app. And right now, this season is unpredictable. The East is wide open, while the West challenges the Thunder. We know this rookie class is special. This MVP race is tight, and this crew is the best. Saturday primetime, presented by Wingstop. Pistons Timberwolves at 5:30 Eastern. ABC.
Major League Baseball on ESPN Radio. It's opening day in Los Angeles.
Welcome, everyone, to Los Angeles, California, home to the world champion Dodgers. And what a way to start our season.
The back-to-back World Series champion LA Dodgers begin their pursuit of a three-peat when they face the Arizona Diamondbacks.
And the Dodgers chase the dynasty distinction.
The Diamondbacks at the Dodgers. Coverage begins Thursday at 8 Eastern with first pitch at 8:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app. Earlier on Clinton and Friends.
Kevin Durant is one of the greatest scorers of our time. And for him to openly admit, you know what, I might be the problem. That's an indication of something happening internally that I respect him for saying out loud and not just ignoring. Could it just be a bad night? Sure. But the tone of voice in KD right there sounded like somebody who's looking a long way down the road, and it's not coming any closer anytime soon.
Clinton and Friends. Weekdays from 10 to noon Eastern on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
The TGL playoffs are on ESPN. There's a lot of adrenaline down there with more of the best. That is Tiger and Rory at its best. More at stake. Justin Thomas. More primetime pressure and more when it matters most. The TGL playoffs presented by SoFi, March 17th through the 24th on ESPN and the ESPN app. All of TGL, all in one place.
Wichita's new sports leader, ESPN Wichita, 92.3 FM, KKGQ, Newton. This is the Shane Dennis Show on the new ESPN Wichita, 92.3 FM.
Greetings. Happy Monday, everyone. Welcome in. Shane Dennis Show. Jack Johnson alongside running things. A big week to get to. March Madness talk. Baseball right around the corner. All kinds of stuff to get to during the next couple of hours. If you're new to the show or new to the station, welcome. Noon to 2 every weekday, Shane Dennis Show. And we hope you enjoy. We also hope you will be a part of the show. We've got different ways for you to do that. You can interact with us, call, text, ask questions, make comments, win things. A lot of free stuff that we give away, either on our hotline or our text line. And you should, if you like sports, like to be entertained, you like some interaction, put these numbers in your phone. First, the ESPN Wichita hotlines, 316-669-4996. So if you want to call, or if I prompt you to call, or if Pat Strathman, he does the polls from 2 to 4. If he prompts you to call, that's the number you use, 316-669-4996. If you'd rather text, we have a dedicated text line only for texting. And a lot of you use it. And a lot of you win things on that text line. Notably, Top Golf, free stuff, and occasionally some lottery tickets on the text line. So you'll need it. And then if you just want to sound off, pop off, tell a joke, ask a question, make a comment, I see the texts. Pat Pat sees them. 316-247-0923. And if we get to them in a timely fashion, we'll address them, answer your questions. If there is one in there, texter earlier asked a question, and we took care of that for them. So that's just for you and just for text, 247-0923. Here's how you can listen. We have every single possible way for you to listen to us with your ears. ESPNWichita.com, so you can stream us. If you're lucky enough to stream us at work, you got a cool boss who lets you listen while you work. Your laptop, your device, your tablet, your computer. Go to ESPNWichita.com, click on Listen Live, and there we are. New Day with SSJ in the mornings. Clinton and Friends, Rich Eisen Show, me, The Pulse with Pat, the program with Seren from 4 to 6. Stream us all day long at ESPNWichita.com. Listen in your car or on your radio. Make us your preset 1, 92.3 FM. Download our app. Take us with you wherever you go. Never miss a moment. Doesn't matter what kind of phone you have. Download our app. You can listen live. And also in both of those places, you can listen to past shows because we archive them there. So on demand, whenever, wherever, you can listen to us after we're done. You just want to listen to something again, or there's an interview that you missed, or one of our takes that you didn't get to, or you got distracted, or you got interrupted, had to take a phone call or go into a meeting, something like that. Then you can listen after the fact. Jack does a really good job of getting those up on those spots, especially ESPNWichita.com if you've got a computer. You can live stream the show. We are at our Equity Bank Park studio, and whenever we are, and even sometimes we're not, we were at Gillies, we were live stream Thursday and Friday. We are on X at ESPN Wichita. We're on our Facebook page, so search ESPN Wichita on Facebook. Be our friends, won't you? And then go to our YouTube channel, too. Got a lot of exclusive content there. I don't think we stress that enough. But go to our YouTube channel, subscribe to us, and you can watch us every single day. And then at the bottom of those places, we got a little ticker or a little crawl, and it's got the schedule of the show. So what we're going to talk about, when we're going to talk about it, is down there at the bottom. So if something tweaks you, you'll know to definitely not miss that particular segment, because when you're watching, you get a preview of what's coming up. So a little added bonus there when you live stream us on our social channels. Also, we have an Instagram page, so check us out there. And we've got all kinds of good content on socials. Pat does a really good job with that. So be our friends, follow us, et cetera, et cetera. We are at our Equity Bank Park studio. It is March 23rd, 82nd day of the year, 263 days left in 2026. Headed for a high in Wichita today of 60 degrees. All right, lots to get to today, as per usual on a Monday, but we never begin without a moment of levity, and Jack has it for us right now.
Sarcasm doesn't get you anywhere. And I said, well, it got me to the Sarcasm World Championships in Mexico in 98. I said, really? I said, no.
No, just kidding. It's National Puppy Day. National Chia Day. Recognizing the tiny yet powerful chia seed. Jack, have you ever knowingly ingested a chia seed?
Not knowingly.
Yeah, I didn't figure you would be a chia guy. National Chip and Dip Day. That's more like it. National Tamale Day. And National Melba Toast Day. 5 days to tell you about tomorrow. Born days. Joan Crawford, 1905, former actress. Let's see here. Kenneth Cole, the fashion designer. He's born in 1954, so he's 72 today. And Perez Hilton, gossip blogger, born 1978. 1857, first elevator was installed in New York City. The Wright brothers filed a patent for a flying machine in 1903. And Elvis Presley began his final concert tour on this day in 1977. All right, here's what we're going to talk about today. Wichita State still going in the NIT. They absolutely buried Oklahoma State last night, and it was impressive. If you're a Shocker fan, if you're Oklahoma State fan, not so much. Well, it was still impressive, but you probably weren't thrilled with it. The Shocker fans certainly were. We'll talk about that coming up here in just a second. Is Wichita State in front of 2,526 at Gallagher-Iba, won 96-70. Pummeled Oklahoma State, especially in the second half. Shocker baseball and softball had a good weekend. We'll talk about that coming up here in hour number 1. We got a Twitter question, as we normally do. Every single day I have a show, I put up a Twitter question at ESPN Wichita. So we invite you to vote, repost, send to all your X or Twitter followers, and try to put up a reasonably interesting Twitter question every day, or X question. And so it's up right now. It's brought to you by Ribbit Computers. And then at 1 o'clock, KU Talk. A heartbreaking end to the Jayhawks season. And maybe for the first time in a long time, more questions than answers as we go into the offseason, because I was pretty surprised. Maybe I'm out to lunch on this, but I was pretty surprised at the relative candor displayed by Bill Self when it comes to his future. Didn't really think that he would comment as much as he did on it after they lost at the buzzer to St. John's, but he did. And we will hear from Bill Self coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. We'll talk about a couple of coaching moves, some transactions that came down the pike, a retirement, a hiring, 2 hirings when it comes to the American. So we'll talk about that, a little KU basketball talk in the 1 o'clock hour, kind of have a little mini roundtable with me and Jack now that KU season is done. And then at 1:25, we've got our Players of the Week, brought to you by Prochaska Howland Prochaska Law, PHP Player of the Week every Monday. And we'll reveal that at 1:25. And then at 1:45 or thereabouts, at the end of every show, we have what's called I'm Old, Jack's Young. It's pretty self-explanatory. But in said segment, Jack plays me a song. I try to guess the artist. And then the tables turn, and I ask Jack famous to semi-famous former athletes or administrators or coaches, because they were born on March 23rd. So how many does Jack know? What do I know about somewhat pop culture / music? It's what we call I'm Old, Jack's Young. And then by then, Pat will be here, and we invite him in. We have a little crosstalk. We always do when he's around or not on location. And we'll have a little banter back and forth and get you ready for the Pulse coming up from 2 to 4. Speaking of Pat being around, we will be here over the next couple of days. We were out and about on Thursday and Friday. We were at Gillies in Park City. Had a good time getting you all ready for the March Madness coverage right here on ESPN Wichita. And saw a good amount of you out there watching hoops. And so it was good to see. But we will also be out and about here in a couple of days. This week, we're going to be busy on the road. We'll be here today and tomorrow. But on Wednesday, I will be at Booth Creek Wagyu at 21st and Webb. Highly recommend you come out that day or any day. But the weather, first of all, the weather's supposed to be nice. And second of all, they got lunch specials every day, and they're amazing. I don't know if you're aware of that. Maybe I should, part of my job is make you aware of it. But they will have lunch specials then, too, on Wednesday. And we'll also qualify y'all to win some concert tickets if you come by and see me. So make a note of that. From noon to 2, be at Booth Creek Wagyu. On Thursday, from noon to 4, we'll be back at Twin Peaks East. So we're back at the Lodge at 21st and Rock, doing our shows out there Thursday. And then on Friday, we will be at Four Seasons RV in Andover, their new location there. So you East Siders, come by and see us on Friday because that's where we'll be doing shows from noon to 4. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we're out and about. So come see us, especially if you're in Northeast Wichita. That's right up your alley. We're going to be in that area Wednesday at Booth Creek Wagyu, Thursday at Twin Peaks East, Friday at Four Seasons RV in Andover. So make a mental note of that. And also, if any of y'all won anything like lottery tickets or Top Golf stuff, make a note that we won't be in the office Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We won't be here like we normally are. We hooked a couple of you up this morning. One Top Golf winner, Chris, came by, hooked him up. But when you come to the stadium, it all depends on if we're here or not. And now it's the spring, weather's getting great, and we're here less and less. So we love seeing you out and about in Wichita and the surrounding areas. So there you go. You are up to speed on where we're going to be this week. Last night, Stillwater, Wichita State v. Oklahoma State, a rematch from last year's NIT. It was the difference being it was the first game last year in the NIT, and the difference also being Wichita State got beat. Well, Wichita State delivered a beatdown last night. They actually trailed at one point in the second half. Now, it didn't last long, but after a 7-point halftime lead, Oklahoma State did similar things to Wichita State that they did to Davidson after a shootout first half against Davidson College. OSU came out hot in the second half last night and completely erased that 7-point halftime deficit. And it only took 3 minutes. And they actually led 47-46. So they came out on a 10-2 run, OSU did, in the first 3 minutes of the second half. After that, it was all shockers. And Wichita State not only imposed its will, they took everything away from Oklahoma State, including their will to play. I thought it was 100% abundantly clear that Wichita State, well, frankly, they ran Oklahoma State out of their own barn. Scored 52 second half points on 58% shooting from the floor, including 8 threes. They made 14 overall. They were 14 of 26 from three-point range and continued to rebound at an incredibly high level. +8 on the boards, +3 on the offensive end, and turned 14 offensive rebounds to 23 second chance points. And not only was Wichita State's first possession defense good, even when Oklahoma State hit the offensive glass, it didn't turn into anything. They only gave up 4 second chance points, Wichita State did, on those 11 Oklahoma State offensive rebounds. Only twice were they cashed in. 96-70 was the final. Kenyon Giles hit 8 more threes, ended up with 28 points, and had 18 in the second half. They also got 13 from Michael Gray, 12 from Dylan Battee. Both of those guys shot 5 for 9 from the floor. Battee had 10 more rebounds, so he had a double-double. Drake Kendall had 11 points and 4 assists. And Karan Boyd, 13 points for him. Will Berg, 9 points, 8 rebounds. Pretty much a familiar recipe for Wichita State. Giles had his 18th 20-point game. His 8 threes tied his career high. And 4 of those other guys were in double figures. And TJ Williams had 10 rebounds. Shocker shot 49% from the field, a season best behind the arc, 54% on those 14 of 26. Oklahoma State, conversely, only 6 of 20 from 3. And so now Wichita State will play in Tulsa tomorrow night. Pretty quick turnaround, but because it's Tulsa, travel's more bearable for you fans. And as I understand it, the team just stayed down there. And we're going to, if they had to play on Tuesday, if it was Wednesday, they would have come back. But apparently they just stayed down there, and we'll go down to Tulsa today and play the Golden Hurricane tomorrow. Some asked, and some are wondering maybe still, how is Tulsa the 1 seed, or how did Tulsa get a better seed than Wichita State? Because the Shockers were 2-1 against them. It's there's a different pecking order now than there used to be for the NIT, which is to say the NIT used to just do whatever and didn't need a rhyme or reason necessarily of who got home games, who had to travel, all that stuff. And NIT has always been kind of fluid anyway, as far as start times and days of games, because you kind of have to dance around the other tournaments that are going on. Almost exclusively the NCAA tournament. You got to be careful there when you play and where you play. But Tulsa has better metrics than Wichita State. They have virtually all year and still do. And they got better metrics than Oklahoma State, for that matter. So that's why Tulsa in the Tulsa region is the number 1 seed. And they were the highest team as far as the net and the Ken Palm and all the metrics that didn't win the American Conference tournament. And so whoever doesn't pretty much gets first dibs at playing in the NIT, getting a home game, and getting a good seed. And so that's how that works. Tulsa is 59 in Ken Palm. And even with the win over Oklahoma State, Wichita State's only 73. I say only 73, but that's the reason. And Tulsa beat UNLV last night. If UNLV would have happened to win, then Wichita State would play a home game against the Rebs. And wouldn't have that been fun? But UNLV got their butts kicked on the boards, and Tulsa never really was threatened, especially in the second half. 77-66 was the final. So tomorrow, Wichita State and Tulsa one more time for the 4th time this year. Shockers got them in the tournament, 81-68. Got them at home, 81-77. And lost to them down there, 93-83. So Wichita State will get one more crack at them and an opportunity to get to 25 wins in Paul Mills' 3rd year. And, you know, I get it, it's NIT, but I think at this point of the season, almost any fan base would agree with me. I'm going to go out on a limb. If your team's in the NIT and they win a couple, now it's like we might as well go all in, right? Let's win the whole thing. We're still going, playing good basketball. You win 2 games against pretty good competition in the NIT, then you might as well, you know, drop any of the disappointment that you had over the regular season or the conference tournament that your team was in. Didn't get to the NCAAs, whether it was by a little or by a lot. But you win a couple, now you can kind of smell it. And they don't go to Madison Square Garden anymore. They go to Hinkle Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, but that's still a storied place. And you get a chance to hang a banner, I say the hell with it. Go for it. All in. And made even better by another matchup with Tulsa. And you want to win the whole thing, you're going to have to go through some good teams. I'm not exactly sure. I wouldn't go so far as to say Oklahoma State didn't feel like playing last night because they led in the second half. And then Wichita State just whipped them. So I'm not going to necessarily agree with anybody that said Oklahoma State checked it in, because the Shockers basically stole everything from them and made them look bad because they couldn't miss. And that's what happens too. If a team can't stop the other team, then it makes their effort level look worse than probably what it really is. And as we know, once Kenyon Giles starts making shots, he's a load. He's almost impossible to stop. He was 6 of 11 from 3 in the second half alone. And the Shockers piled up 52 points and win it going away 96-70. So coming up next, Tulsa tomorrow night with the NIT championship still kind of dangling out there with a couple more wins. So congratulations to Paul Mills and Shocker basketball team as they pummeled Oklahoma State last night, 96-70, to keep their season going. Even if it is the NIT, they, if you're a Shocker fan, that got to imagine you had a lot of fun. And maybe you were down there because you guys showed out on TV. I'll tell you that. It was, I get there's going to be a bunch of black in the stands anyway, because black and orange is Oklahoma State's colors, but there was a lot of black and yellow in the stands too. And that was impressive. And so was Wichita State's effort. They were impressive as well. All right. When we come back, talk a little baseball, a little softball, as the Shocker hardball teams took care of business. The softball team had a chance to sweep, but fell a little short. Wichita State's baseball team bounced back from a huge beating that they took in the middle game of that series. And they both took 2 out of 3. So baseball was playing Charlotte, softball was playing FAU. We'll tell you about that coming up here in just a little bit. Also, we'll give you a kind of a late Midwest Pain Relief Center injury report. The baseball team is pretty banged up. We'll give you the very latest on their injuries, which maybe made yesterday all the more impressive. But we'll talk about that coming up here in just a little bit. We'll give away some lottery tickets a little bit later on, so be listening for that. We'll talk KU. Their season is over. And what's Bill Self's future look like? Play a little Self audio from postgame yesterday after a heartbreaking defeat at the hands of St. John's, losing at the buzzer 67-65. And then at 1:25 or so, we'll have our player of the week, brought to you by PHP Law. And then, I'm old Jack Young at the end of the show. Texter Tony texted in and said, "Hey, Shane, we were down in Stillwater. We sure appreciate the tickets to Harlem Globetrotters. Our granddaughter really enjoyed it." Outstanding. Good effort, Tony, to go to both, because they were both on both yesterday and last night. So good friend of the show, good P1, good texter, Tony. Glad you enjoyed the Globetrotters, and I'm glad the Shockers won for you, making the trip worth your while. And I'm quite sure he's and his better half are going to go to Tulsa and watch them down at the Reynolds Center tomorrow night. All right, when we come back, baseball and softball update, as Wichita State both took 2 out of 3 from Charlotte and FAU respectively. We'll talk about that next when it's 12:25 here on a Monday.
You're listening to the Shane Dennis Show on ESPN Wichita, 92.3 FM.
Guys, I am talking to you. After the age of 30, you may notice a decrease in a few things and increases in other things, like not as much energy, low libido, not as strong as you used to be. You put on weight that's tougher to take off. That's all facts of life. But it very well could be low testosterone as a reason behind it. It's science, guys. We're not what we used to be. But the good news is, with Empowering Wellness in Wichita, you can turn all that around. I stopped by there, and they did a little blood work. It came back really quickly, and they had a comprehensive explanation of all of my levels of my blood work, and even some that I didn't know were possible. Every single possible result they had for you to let you know why you're feeling the way you are, perhaps. And if you do have low T, they'll discuss testosterone replacement therapy and what's your best fit. They are awesome to work with. I'm so glad that I did it, and you will be too, guys. Go to empoweringwellnessict.com if you want to schedule an appointment online. You're not what you used to be, but the beautiful thing is you can change it with Empowering Wellness. There's also weight loss options, laser treatments, and aesthetics at Empowering Wellness too. So ask them about that. Make your appointment. Tell them ESPN Wichita sent you. You won't regret it. Head to empoweringwellnessict.com.
Are you tired of replacing your roof every 5 years?
Okay.
AR Roofing has permanent solutions for you. AR offers both stone-coated steel and indestructible rubberized roofing options, reducing your insurance premiums and promising this is the last roof you'll ever need installed. Contact them for a no-pressure consultation and learn how AR Roofing can help you protect your home from hail, wind, and storm damage today. Affordable financing options available. Contact them at 316-242-0214 or on their website at arroofing.com.
So many men and ladies are caring for aging parents while trying to manage careers, kids, and daily life. Kansas PACE understands that strain and provides real support from medical coordination and therapies to transportation, home help, and a social day center. Your loved one receives high-quality care while you keep your life moving. Kansas PACE isn't just a program, it's a partner that brings peace of mind and relief to families. Explore services and see if your parent qualifies at kansaspace.org.
Hog Wild Pet Barbecue. Hog Wild, get some for you. Lean beef, pork, and ribs, your family will love. Pour on the spice and sauces you can't get enough of.
Order your Hog Wild slow smoked Easter ham today. Award-winning barbecue, so you're sure to have the perfect ham as the centerpiece of your Easter meal that everyone will enjoy. Hog Wild selects only the highest quality hams, then slow smokes them for hours until they're tender and juicy. A Hog Wild 100% boneless slow smoked ham is approximately £4 and $50. Order online at gohogwild.com. Place your order soon as quantities are limited. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 6 locations in Wichita, also in Derby, El Dorado, Hutchinson, and Salina.
Go Hog Wild Pit Barbecue. Hog Wild, get some for you. But don't be late, we close at 8.
What do people with blindness or low vision need to live to the fullest? Just ask them. It's skill development, scientific breakthroughs, knowledge-based jobs, and the same opportunities as everyone else. When you give to Envision, whether it be your time, donations, or your engagement, you make it all possible. That's because at Envision, they don't focus on the disability. They value the ability. They choose not to envision a world without sight, but to envision a world where people who are blind or visually impaired are empowered to reach their full potential. Learn more at envisionus.com.
In Kansas, truth is told in speed, wide open, full bore, and no mercy. Season momentum earned 3 and 4 wide. Loud, intense, inches predicting outcomes. Blink and miss.
They bang sideways.
What just happened? Pure speed whipping across the plains.
Hell yeah, boys!
NASCAR weekend at Kansas Speedway, April 18th and 19th. Get your tickets now at kansasspeedway.com.
$12:30. Shane and Jack with you. You're on a Monday. Shaka Khan's birthday is today. Baseball and softball update. Good news for both Shocker fans. First of all, with softball, they had a 7-game winning streak going into yesterday playing FAU, and they walked off the Owls twice, Friday and Saturday. Saturday's game, I think, was 9 innings, maybe even 10, but it was extras. And Shockers walked them off twice. But yesterday, and if you aren't in South Central Kansas, you're not in Wichita, you don't know how windy yesterday was. It was really, well, it wasn't bad, but there was a north wind of about 30 miles an hour, gusting higher up like 40 or greater. So it wasn't the best day to set out and watch baseball or softball. But the baseball team and softball team playing within 100 yards of each other or so had to kind of deal with that. And Wichita State softball lost 2-1 in the series finale. So Christy Breadbender's bunch had to settle for 2 out of 3, and they are now 6-3 in the conference. So off to a good start in the league. FAU with a win improved to 3-5. So they had been actually pretty hot as well. But 2-1 was the final yesterday after Wichita State walked them off first 2 games of the series. Next for the softball team, it'll be another toughie. They're going to Tampa to take on South Florida in a 3-game series down there. So that's up next for Shocker softball. And like I said, they're off to a pretty good start in the conference, 6-3. Now for the baseball team, they took 2 out of 3 from Charlotte, and they did it certainly in different ways than the softball team did. You could say with pretty good certainty. They gave up 19 runs Saturday. The baseball team did, losing that game. Now it was, for those that wondered, like, how did that happen? How did that totally turn into a runaway? I had a couple people text me and ask. It was basically 12-6. All right. And when you're in that type of situation and doesn't look like you're going to be able to come back, you don't exactly run out all your high leverage guys. It's pretty much that way in at any level, big leagues. You're not going to throw Lucas Ursig when you're down 4-0 necessarily. Yeah, I mean, you may if it's postseason game, but anyway, when the writing is kind of on the wall a little bit, you go to your low leverage guys, and that's what happened with Wichita State, and the game got out of hand. And it looked bad. Let's be honest. Give up 19 runs on, I think, 22 hits or 24 hits or something like that. That never looks good. But the good thing with Wichita State was that they didn't let it carry over into yesterday. And with the wind being what it was a real challenge to try to score runs. If you're not familiar with that stadium, the north wind, that's in from left and over kind of toward the right field corner. So a left-hand pull hitter that hooks one, would get a lot more help than anybody else. But that really didn't happen. And anybody hit the ball in the air was pretty much going to be out. And so the runs that anybody scored would have to be either manufactured or you'd need some help. Have the other team give it to you. For those who don't know, Charlotte's one of the best defensive teams in the country, and they have been for the last couple of years. They came into Wichita for that first game on Friday with 13 errors, and they had played, what would it be to that point, 21 games. Their first 21 games, they had 13 errors. And in college, that's supreme. That's elite. They made 6 against Wichita State. They made 2 more yesterday. The Shockers drew 4 walks, got 2 hit batters, and just enough offense, especially late. They really broke out with 2 outs in the 8th inning to break open a close game. It was 3-1 Wichita State after 4, and it stayed that way until the 8th. And as you college baseball fans know, that's pretty rare for a Sunday. Like, it's not 3-1 going into the bottom of the 8th very often on a Sunday with the arms, the top level arms probably already have thrown in a series once you get to Sunday. Now, Wichita State did have Johnny Nuanez as a kind of an ace in the hole. They're being careful with him pitch count wise. He didn't pitch at all 2 weekends ago. Then last weekend, I think it was 40 or 50 pitches, and he went 3 innings against Butler. Looked great. Looked good again yesterday, and was taken out after 76 pitches. And hopefully that'll be the end of that if he can be built back up to what he was before they shelved him. But he went 5 solid yesterday, gave up only the 1 run. And then Brady Owens and Amar Singh pitched great in their combined 3 innings, only gave up 2 hits and 1 walk. There was only 1 shocker walk. And actually those guys didn't hand out the walk. It was Wyatt Foley who did that. But Singh and Brady Owens, 4 strikeouts, no walks between the 2 of them, and no runs. And then in the bottom of the 8th, Wichita State got a 2-run base hit from Jason Jones and a 2-run base hit from Owen Washburn to make a 4-1 game, or a 3-1 game, a 7-1 game. And the Shockers ended up winning 7-2. And kudos to Jacob Rodriguez, who didn't get an at-bat until I think the 3rd weekend of the season. But he got to start in right field and went 2 out of 3 with a couple of doubles, scored a run, walked once. And the guy, he's from Lubbock Christian, spent 3 years there, did nothing but hit there. So he'll be an interesting guy to watch moving forward because of Wichita State kind of having to play musical chairs in the starting lineup between keeping guys fresh and getting guys like Gutierrez some at-bats. Because the last 2 years that he was at Lubbock Christian, he hit over 400 in both seasons. Now, you can say what you want about the level of play at Lubbock Christian and non-Division I, whatever, but 400's 400, man. And you can kind of see it with Gutierrez and his approach. And he was a Shocker starting right fielder. Now, they have at different times between right field and first base, it's been something as far as trying to find a guy to just put out there and forget it. Gutierrez has played right. Jack Quick has played right. Quick's played first base. MJ Sweeney's played first base. Nolan Ganter against lefties, he's been playing some first base. And the one position that was up for grabs, kind of like right field is, I suppose, was second base when Zeb Henry got hurt. But it seems, at least for the time being, that Owen Rush has grabbed onto the second base job and ran with it. He had a great weekend. Rush did. And it's a limited sample size, but Rush's batting average is 357. And he walked 2 more times yesterday, laid down a really nice bunt, scored twice, knocked in 1 with the infield in. So he's been able to do a little bit of everything and play a pretty good second base. Now, all that I bring up because Wichita State is banged up at some critical positions. They, as I understand it, are checking out Ryan Morrison as we speak, one of the high leverage guys out of the Shocker bullpen. Had to leave the game Friday with an arm injury. Don't want to speculate what it is or how bad it is, but it didn't look great. And if you watch enough baseball, anytime a pitcher's out on the mound with the trainer coming out and it wasn't I got hit by a line drive visit, then you hold your breath. And I think that's the case with Ryan Morrison, who was really starting to come into his own and be that high leverage guy and setup guy for Brady Pasha, who closed the game out yesterday pretty well also. But TBA on Ryan Morrison's availability the rest of this week and the rest of the season, really. And again, I don't want to speculate that something happened that's season ending, but you never know. Same for Max Coffer, although it's a different injury. It's his shoulder. He was not even on the roster this weekend. And at the time of his injury, Coffer had 11 home runs in 48 at-bats and was leading the country in slugging percentage. Well, he, like like I said just a second ago, he wasn't even on the roster this weekend. Neither was Zeb Henry. Neither was Drew Bugner, the utility guy, hometown kid who went to Pitt State last year. He had played a little right and a little second before he was injured, but he wasn't on the roster either. So there's three position players that the Shockers didn't have this weekend, and one pitcher that they essentially didn't have. He got one out before he walked a couple of guys and had to come out due to injury, Ryan Morrison. So the Shockers were doing without all those guys. And so Brian Green has had to manipulate his lineup, a little bit of dart throws as far as who to run out there at a particular position. Although, like I said, Owen Rush is making his decision a lot easier lately when it comes to who's going to play second base. But at right field and first base, it's kind of a matchup based. But taking 2 out of 3 in the conference is never a bad thing. And especially when that game 2 got away from them 19-6. But they came back yesterday and played really, really good for 8 2/3 innings. Really, because Brady Pacia should have had a 1-2-3 ninth, and Jason Jones kind of baby to throw over to first, and that was an error. And then on the next batter, got a base hit to left, and Jaden Gustafson kind of took his eye off the ball or lost some focus or something and kicked it over into center field that led to a run. Otherwise, that would have been a 7-1, neat and tidy, win the series, and play errorless baseball. If not for the 9th inning, Shockers went all weekend without making an error. So all in all, a success. Anytime you get into conference play, number one, it's extremely hard to sweep. You're not playing West Georgia or Butler anymore. And it's imperative that you take care of your home turf. That's what Wichita State did, both in baseball and in softball. But we'll see about Wichita State baseball's health moving forward. It's a killer that Max Coffer is hurt, considering the start that he got off to. But kudos to, and cross your fingers for, and say a little prayer for, if you're a Shocker fan, Ethan Gonzalez, because he's basically the Shockers' only healthy catcher. Maybe 1.5. Dominic Archilla has made his way into one game for Wichita State. He got a pinch hit. I think it was against Butler. He's the only other catcher that's able right now. So Shockers are pretty thin at a few positions, but Ethan Gonzalez went 2 for 3 yesterday with a hit batter and a run scored down at the bottom of the Shocker order. So all things considered, successful weekend for the hardball teams at Wichita State. Softball takes 2 out of 3 from FAU. Baseball team takes 2 out of 3 from Charlotte. And on to the next for both. Neither team will play a midweek game. It'll be softball team at at USF next weekend, and the baseball team will travel to Memphis. Memphis off to a pretty dreadful start in the non-conference, and actually won a game down in New Orleans this weekend. But I believe Tulane took the next 2. Stand by, I'll tell you. But Memphis started 5-14 in the non-con. And yeah, they did lose the last 2 down in New Orleans. So nobody swept in baseball, and obviously nobody got swept. But UTSA, South Florida, Shockers, and ECU and Tulane all went 2-1. And then everybody else obviously 1-2. Charlotte, UAB, FAU, Rice, and Memphis. And the Shockers go to Memphis next. Memphis 1-2 in the league, 6-16 overall. If you're curious about RPIs at this point, Memphis and Wichita State's are about the same. They're right in the same neighborhood. Wichita State 189, Memphis 174. It is not, quote, early anymore. We're almost to the halfway point of the college baseball season. So that is what it is, and probably won't move drastically unless you reel off either a bunch of wins in a row or a bunch of losses in a row. And Wichita State taking that game on Sunday, takes the series, get to 2-1. There are a few formidable teams in the American when it comes to baseball, when it comes to RPI, and at-large worthy stuff and resume builders. We know about UTSA and the run that they went on last year that took them to the Super Regionals. They're a load. They're tough. They're like DBU, if you're familiar with Dallas Baptist. But their RPI is 43. South Florida's is 49. Remember, Mitch Hanna's is there, the former Indiana State player and coach. They're 20-4 with a 49 RPI. UAB's RPI is 55 somehow. They're 14-10 overall. So they would be considered a good win if you beat UAB, especially down in Birmingham. And East Carolina, not quite what they used to be, but they took 2 out of 3 from, who did they beat? UAB. Yeah, they took 2 out of 3 from UAB. They're 15-9-1. Their RPI is 63. And Charlotte is actually at 82. And Rice is at 64. So there are a bunch of teams in the American and inside the top 100 in the RPI. Wichita State, not one of them, due in large part to their non-conference schedule. But here we go. Conference play is underway in baseball, and Wichita State took advantage of some charity yesterday and a little bit the conditions and carved out a 7-2 win. So congratulations to the baseball team. Also, Christy Breadbender's softball team taking 2 out of 3 this weekend as well. When we come back, need to get to the Twitter question brought to you by Rivet Computers today here on Monday. And we'll do that next, 12:49.
You're listening to the Shane Dennis Show on ESPN Wichita.
We are going to be out at Twin Peaks East here in a few days. More on that in a moment. But before and after we get there, a couple things to keep in mind when it comes to Twin Peaks, whether you're at 21st and Rock or Ridge and Taft. It's the ultimate sports lodge to watch your favorite sports. You ought to know by now that UFC is huge there. If it's on at Twin Peaks. So ask your favorite Twin Peaks girl when the next UFC match is going to be. Huge screens, perfect sight lines. You can watch Major League Baseball once that season starts. March Madness, of course, always a good selection. And since it's 12:50, so it's about lunchtime, burgers stacked high and cooked to order, smoked in-house wings and brisket too, ice cold drafts, don't forget about that, and seasonal specials and limited time menus come and go a little bit for Twin Peaks. Again, we'll be out there coming up on Thursday doing our shows from noon to 4. So come see us, come have some eats, drinks, scenic views, and also come to sign up for your chance to win concert tickets the next few days. Wednesday when I'm out, but Thursday when we're at Twin Peaks, you have an opportunity to win stuff if you come by and see us and sign up. Where every seat is the best seat in the house, cold beer, hot wings, and best views in the game. Twin Peaks, eats, drinks, scenic views.
Hey folks, Jason Horowitz here from Westwood One with an NCAA tournament schedule preview. The first weekend of March Madness is in the books, and now it's on to the Sweet 16. This Thursday, the action will come from Houston and San Jose. Then on Friday, the spotlight shifts to Chicago and Washington, D.C. To catch all the action, be sure to stay tuned for Westwood One's exclusive coverage of this year's NCAA men's and women's tournaments right here. O'Reilly.
Right now at O'Reilly Auto Parts, get 5 quarts of Valvoline full synthetic motor oil and a MicroGuard Select oil filter for $36.99. Limits apply. See store for details. Trust our professional parts people to recommend the products for your next oil change. Visit your O'Reilly Auto Parts store or shop online at O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This segment is brought to you by KDOT. The people who love you are counting on you to make it home safe. Your family is your team, and they need you. So buckle up.
What do people with blindness or low vision need to live to the fullest? Just ask them. It's skill development, scientific breakthroughs, knowledge-based jobs, and the same opportunities as everyone else. When you give to Envision, whether it be your time, donations, or your engagement, you make it all possible. That's because at Envision, they don't focus on the disability. They value the ability. They choose not to envision a world without sight, but to envision a world where people who are blind or visually impaired are empowered to reach their full potential. Learn more at envisionus.com.
Hi, it's Blake Davis with Davis Liquor Outlet, and this is his father, Brian.
Jack,
Davis,
were you able to
another
find
great
that
special on Coors
Matt
Light and
Painter
Miller Lite 12
audio?
16-ounce cans, only $15.99. And don't forget
I didn't know I was supposed to find it, but I will now.
Oh, sorry. Basically, what he said about Miami of Ohio's guy complaining about mid-major schedule, it's pretty easy to find.
Okay, I'll get it.
Thanks.
And the real MVPs of your watch party, Auburn Spirits and Auburn Wine and Spirits. For tailgate-ready brews to top shelf picks, Auburn Spirits and Auburn Wine and Spirits keeps your lineup stacked and your cooler championship ready. Whether you're cheering from the couch or hosting the whole squad, trust Auburn Spirits in 13303 West Maple, West Wichita.
Have you heard
Auburn
it?
Wine and
It's pretty
Spirits
interesting.
at 320 North Rock
I have
Road,
not. It's
East
2 minutes long.
Wichita.
Okay. Born Day, no longer with us. Rick Ocasek from the Cars. Rick Ocasek, I'm quite sure, used to be married to a supermodel. And that was one of the original definitions, being out over your skis. All due respect to Rick Ocasek, RIP. From the Cars, by the way. Twitter question has to do with who you think looks the best in a particular bracket. We'll get to that in a second. It's brought to you by Ribbit Computers. Hey, Wichita, you got a broken phone, cracked screen, dead battery not charging, whatever the problem is, Ribbit Computers has you covered. They've been Wichita's go-to for fast, affordable phone repairs for over 20 years. Most fixes are done same day. Walk-ins always welcome. So don't wait days or spend a fortune. Hop into Ribbit Computers. Get your phone back up and running today. Question today at ESPN Wichita. In the Midwest/South, so in the bottom bracket, if you're so inclined, in the Midwest/South, who looks the strongest? Who you got? At least after 2 games. Iowa State, Michigan, Houston, Illinois. Houston getting 43% of the vote from y'all. Michigan right there at 35.7%. Iowa State with an impressive showing, 14.3%. And Illinois bringing up the rear, 7.1%. All right, so the schedule coming up here in the next couple of days for not only the NCAA tournament that you can hear right here on the channel, but the NIT too. Tomorrow night's game between Wichita State and Tulsa is the early game. It's at 6 o'clock. It'll be on ESPN2, followed by St. Joseph's and New Mexico. So those 2 games will be on ESPN2, played tomorrow. Again, Wichita State down at the Reynolds Center in Tulsa, St. Joe's at New Mexico in the Pit in Albuquerque. And then tomorrow, basically on the other side of the NIT bracket, Illinois State pulled a shocker, beat Wake Forest. They played Dayton on Wednesday at 6 on ESPN2. And then Auburn hosting Nevada in the late game on Wednesday. So if you got some NIT interest, there's your schedule there. Here's the schedule for Thursday for March Madness. You got number 11 Texas taking on number 2 Purdue. That's first at 6:10. And then our coverage will start about an hour prior to that. So tune in then for that coming up Thursday. And then at 6:30, Iowa and Nebraska. What an intriguing matchup this is. And boy, if you saw the end of that Nebraska game, and if you were a Nebraska fan, was your heart in your throat or what at the very last second? And if you saw, you know what I mean. But Iowa plays Nebraska bitter rivalry, 6:30, 9 versus 4 on Thursday. That one's on True TV and TBS. And then the later games, Arkansas and Arizona. That figures to be a barn burner, or at least entertaining. 8:45, the opening tap for that one. And then Illinois, Houston. Like that one too. Boy, 9:05, TBS and True TV as well. That Arizona game's on CBS. But you can listen to them all right here on ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM. That's coming up on Thursday. And then Friday, the team that vanquished KU, which we'll talk about here in a second, St. John's taking on Duke in the early matchup on Friday, the 6:10 game. And then number 4, Alabama takes on number 1, Michigan. That will be in Chicago, and that'll be at 6:35. And then the late games on Friday, number 3, Michigan State, number 2, UConn, number 6, Tennessee against number 2, Iowa State after that on Friday. Jack, in the Midwest South, of the 4 that I gave you, who do you think looks the strongest? Just a 2-game snapshot. Iowa State, Michigan, Houston, or Illinois of those 4?
I'd probably say Houston so far. They've been really impressive in their first 2, and at this point, I'd probably take them to get to the Final Four. I mean, they're playing as good as they have all year defensively. It's not to knock Michigan at all, and I'm not trying to put too much into their first showing against a 16 seed.
Yeah.
They also blew St. Louis out of the water. Hard not to argue either with Iowa State and what they were able to do to Kentucky after a sluggish first 10 minutes of that game. But I roll with Houston here. They're a team that has the pedigree, has the coach, and I would expect them to represent the Midwest in the Final Four.
Were you surprised at what Alabama did to Texas Tech?
Not really. To be honest with you. I mean, I just think Texas Tech was eventually going to run out of gas without JT Toppin. That's something that has been teetering for them over the last couple of weeks. And Alabama, I mean, they've had a lot going on, but what these tournament teams really show when it's all said and done, it kind of hurts my point for Houston, but it's those explosive offensive teams that don't give one bleep about defense.
Yeah.
They're going to have showings like that more often than a defensive-minded team is going to hold somebody to 40, and that's what Alabama is. They would rather just let you go shoot layups on the other end as long as they can shoot threes on the other end. And for Texas Tech, we knew it was only a matter of time before the absence of JT Toppin was going to rear its ugly head.
Okay. 90 to 65, though, a little extreme for me, but good for Alabama and tough break for Texas Tech. As far as the ESPN Wichita Bracket Challenge, we have 3 players tied for first, 3 individuals tied at the top with a pretty solid bracket. Joe Wayman, Sean Chapman, and Jonathan Shum, all tied for first as of right now. And then three guys are tied for fourth, right behind those 3, Mark Lang, Gene Watkins, and Larry Baker. So good job so far for you guys. Hang in there, everybody else. There's still another handful of brackets that are right there outside the top 10, depending on what happens coming up on Thursday and Friday at ESPNWichita.com. I am currently in 138th, if you're curious, in the 67th percentile of my bracket. So that's pretty much status quo for yours truly. All right, when we come back, we need to talk about that St. John's, Kansas game. And we also need to talk about Bill Self. Apparently, there's some doubt whether he will continue coaching, which surprised this guy. We'll ask Jack if he is surprised and what he thought about that tremendous comeback, a gut-wrenching loss at the hands of St. John's at the buzzer. And even though the Jayhawks only led for 38 seconds, they had it. They had it right here and let it slip through their fingers. We'll hear from Bill Self as well. Also later on in hour number 2, we'll hear from Matt Painter. He's my player of the week, and I'll tell you why coming up here in a little bit. The head coach at Purdue, he had a good little soundbite that we'll play for you at the bottom of hour 2. But before we do that, we'll talk about KU and Bill Self. Is he coming back? Hour number 2, straight ahead.
Wichita's sports leader. ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM. KKGQ Newton. ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM. Your radio home of the Kansas Jayhawks, the Wichita Wind Surge, the Dallas Cowboys, the Wichita Open, the college football playoffs, and the national championship, the World Series, the NBA playoffs, the Big 12 championship, and the best coverage of the Chiefs, Royals, Jayhawks, Wildcats, and Shockers. Locally owned and operated. ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM.
Gillies Gambling Hall in Park City, home to 1,000 gaming machines and the Play Rewards. Sign up today and get $20 instantly, plus up to $500 in club cash. Visit Trackside Simulcast with big stakes races every weekend. Grab $2 draft beer and hot dogs Monday through Thursday. Catch every play at Golden Circle with 160 feet of video wall. Kick back at Gillies Saloon, Dance Hall, and Barbecue for live entertainment and slow-smoked, mouth-watering barbecue. Play hard, eat well, live it up. Visit playgillies.com.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart, and I have a question for you. You know that unwelcome guest everyone wishes would just leave already? That's COVID-19. That's why I got an updated booster designed to help protect against recent Omicron variants. Got it? Check eligibility and schedule your updated COVID booster at vaccines.gov. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
Nachos! Yeah, your nachos!
Hey, I'll take some.
Great. And some Frank's Red Hot.
Oh, nah, I'm good.
Oh, you're just going to eat these dry, plain, boring nachos with no Franks. Oh, seriously? Frank it up. Frank it up. Come on, lady. Frank it up. Frank it up. Frank it up. Yeah! Yeah, this guy finally gets it. Hey, look, we're on the Jumbotron.
It's the perfect blend of flavor and heat. Frank's Red Hot.
You just want to play Bill Self from the
future
start?
will be amazing, and that's all well and good. But what about today? You can feel the rush of a 400 horsepower Nissan Z.
And we don't have to listen to all
new
of
heights
it.
in the all-terrain Nissan Frontier. Light up the road in the all-electric Nissan Ariya that feels like a sci-fi dream come true. The future will be great, but today is made for thrill. All you have to do is get in a Nissan and drive. 2023 Ariya and Z not yet available for purchase. Expected availability is this spring for 2023 Z and this fall for 2023 Ariya.
Nothing beats March Madness. The pure sound of a swish, the rattle of a slam dunk, the fans on their feet for the big moments. And the action just keeps getting better until a national champion is crowned. Hear all the action with Westwood One's exclusive coverage of the NCAA men's and women's tournaments right here.
The road to the Final Four starts here on ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM.
Wow, you sure got to climb a lot of steps to get to this Capitol building here in Washington. Hey, who's that sad little scrap of paper?
You really want to know?
The writer of this song, the guy that wrote I'm Just a Bill, was born on this day, Dave Fishberg. You got to be of a certain age to know about Schoolhouse Rock, and I'm Just a Bill. But I am. And that was as much for me as anybody else. Hey, text Lotto to 316-247-0923 if you want to win $30 in Kansas Lottery X Games scratch tickets. Enter X Games family of scratchers into Play On for a chance to win up to $20,000 in X Games bonus second chance drawings. You can also play Kansas Lottery online with Play On. You can play games, purchase Powerball and Mega Millions, and enter drawings and promotions all from your phone or device. So text Lotto 316-247-0923 for your chance to win. So it's over for KU. 67-65, a layup at the buzzer by Dylan Darling after Kansas had battled back from a 14-point deficit. They trailed virtually the whole game and survived a really cold stretch. They survived in the first couple of minutes of each half. High-level three-point shooting for St. John's. Now, they eventually in each half cooled a bit, although Bryce Hopkins never really did. He was 6 of 9. But 67-65 was the final. And not only the end to an interesting KU basketball season, but also now questions about the future of Bill Self, which we'll get to here in a second. But Darren Peterson, if that's his one and only season at KU, his career ends with 21 points on just a okay game, in my opinion, because of the way he shot the ball. Flory Badunga, 12 points on 6 of 9 shooting. Melvin Council, a little better of a bounce back game for him, 15 and 9 with 4 assists. But KU, despite out shooting St. John's and out rebounding St. John's, points off turnovers were a big deal in that game yesterday, and the turnovers period. Jayhawks had 16, St. John's only had 8, and advantages almost everywhere except for 3-point makes and points off turnovers. And after using a bunch of fouls to give, that was a point of a little bit of controversy as well, and how well KU used up their fouls to give down at the very end after Peterson made 2 free throws to tie the game. The only thing I will say is this about that. These guys are college kids. You're lucky they did it well enough, to me, as well as they did. You would ideally, if you're a Jayhawk fan, like for them to, in the backcourt, allow St. John's a dribble or 2 before you foul them and get up to 6. And then at the end of the game, obviously pressure not to foul, and St. John's would have virtually ran out of time. But all that being said, St. John's played the hero, Dylan Darling, with a great take, beat his man off the dribble, made a contested layup as the buzzer sounded, and St. John's wins and goes on, and they'll play Duke in the next round. Jack, you just got some overall thoughts on that game itself, and how frustrating was it for you? And did you check out, then come back, and then get your gut kicked? Is that how it went for you?
I mean, I was watching the entirety of the game for sure, and definitely got invested when it was all said and done. But here's the reality of the situation. This Kansas team was going nowhere. I mean, they would have lost to Duke by 30 to 35 points, just based on what they were showing toward the tail end of the season. I'm a big believer in just let a team show you who they are and stop trying with all the delusion. And I do it to myself nearly every single year. I want to, smack myself on the wrist, or, have one of those needles that you just kind of, prick yourself with whenever you do something dumb. Or maybe I need a shock collar, because the NCAA tournament is a time for delusion. Every fan base in the world goes, if we can do this, then this can happen. The reality was this Kansas team was not good. And they really never had a chance to get into rhythm. They never really had a bench. And we were all lying to ourselves that we thought for 6 games in March, it was going to change. Kansas has not made the second weekend 6 out of the last 7 years. By Kansas standards, that is absolutely abysmal. That's horrible. And that's what the standard should be. Look, you can, it's great that Kansas won a championship in 2022, but the great, top tier teams at every sport, every sort of level, there is usually a cutoff time where you say, okay, we can be happy about a championship, but also how are you progressing after that? And Kansas has only gotten significantly worse since winning the championship in 2022. And it's not to overreact to a tournament loss here. It's really the way everybody's viewed Kansas the last 3 seasons. Nobody's scared of Kansas. Nobody's scared when you draw Kansas. They have had more 20-point losses in the last 2 years than I probably witnessed in my entire life from age 3 to 19. And that says a lot about the state of the program and what they were able to do for so long. But at some point, you need to go into the tournament with momentum. And I get it. You'd say, well, Jack, they did it less than 4 years ago. Stop being spoiled. That's fine. Because I also understand that there are other fan bases that don't experience that at all. They don't make the tournament. They always lose in the first round. But this is where I go back to when it comes to different standards for different programs.
Agreed.
That may be fine for your school. Absolutely. With the resources and being a basketball school, what happened yesterday, even with all they went through last year, that's disastrous. That's horrible. St. John's a good team. They are well coached by Rick Pitino. To lose in the way that you did, to be down 14 points, to hold a team under 30% and be down by 8 at half, It was what happened a lot this season. And they were, don't get me wrong, they were a very likable team. They had a lot of guys that took pride, unlike last year's team, in putting Kansas across the chest.
That's true. Yeah.
But talent-wise, we saw far too often. I mean, to go into Ames and lose by 25, to go into Tucson and lose by 25, and it's pathetic. If you're a fan of Kansas and saying, well, you know, it's a good team you ran up against, you should never, and I mean ever, as a Kansas team, lose by 20-plus points to any opponent. And it's happened way too many times now. And it's kind of this look yourself in the mirror moment, because the last 3 years, there's always been this thing of, well, you know, this team had that. It's going to be different next year. I remember after they lost to Arkansas as a 1 seed, and that was the last probably true great Kansas team because they were a 1 seed, and they won the Big 12, and they had Kevin McCullough and Jalen Wilson and Grady Dick and all those guys. But it was that KJ Adams was the 5. Like, they were an undersized team at the big position. So they go, what are we going to do? Well, we need a center, right? We need a great center to give, you know, Dwan Harris and Kevin McCullough. So they go get the number 1 portal guy in Hunter Dickinson. They lost by 20-plus points to Gonzaga in the round of 32. Now, Kevin McCullough was hurt that year, and so was Hunter Dickinson at the very end. So you go, okay, you know what? We can't do that. We got to go, you know, give Hunter Dickinson some shooters, right? Because they're going to collapse down on him, and he's got to be able to kick it out to 3-point shooters. Okay, they go get Rylan Griffin, A.J. Storr, and Diggy Coit. All guys that probably not so much A.J. Storr, but certainly Rylan Griffin and David Coit, they can knock down threes. So this offense, they're going to be unstoppable. Zeke Mayo, by the way, forgot to mention
that's
him.
Right.
It was like, you know, everybody can sink in on him, but he'll be able to dish it out, and KU will put up 95 to 100 points a game. Well, it ended up being the worst team that Bill Self ever had at Kansas. Then it was, wow, you know, you gotta get the Kansas guys. You got to get the guys that are scrappers, and they care about defense, and they care about pride. And for a large portion of this season, it did work. They were good defensively. They were only getting better. But the issue was they just never were able to get into rhythm with Darren Peterson. And if he was healthy from the start, never had any issues, maybe we're talking about a Kansas team that was top 10 at one point, firmly in the top 10, I might say, that was a 2 seed or bordering on a 1 seed for the NCAA tournament. But that's all, you know, shoulda, woulda, coulda stuff. Like, oh, yeah, it might have happened. We'll never know, though. And that's maybe the sad legacy for Darren Peterson at Kansas. He was a very exciting player. We never really got him in full effect. And that's just going to be what the situation is. Now, going into the offseason, I would ask everybody, what do you recruit, right? Do you have player retention here? Do you go out there and try to spend big again? To me, it's probably player retention because those have been the best Kansas teams in the past. But we need to stop with this notion of, well, they just need this. No, they just need this. Kansas is light years away from where they were about 5 years ago. Nobody fears them anymore. St. John's probably didn't worry one bit when they saw Kansas pop up as their 4 seed. And that's saying something. That's certainly a gut punch as a KU fan. It's not to be spoiled, but Shane, I got to be honest, 6 out of the last 7 years, you don't even make it to a Sweet 16. I get you have a championship in that 1 year here, but in this current era of NIL, consistency is so important. Kansas used to be one of, if not the most consistent teams in the tournament. Now you're like celebrating and just saying hallelujah if they can get to the Sweet 16, because it has not happened many times over the last decade.
So let me ask you this. Having said all that, how much of this lies at Bill Self's door, and how responsible is he for that? He's the CEO after all. So do you blame him?
I mean, he's the head coach, so he can't be blameless in this. And I am not of the opinion of people that are like, let's run him out of town, because we saw with Kentucky, it was like, get Cal out of here, and it's not worked with Mark Pope. We'll see what North Carolina does with Hubert Davis. What I am seeing, and what it happens to every great coach out there, whether it be the NBA or college basketball, the game eventually kind of just passes you by. Your ways aren't going to be as successful as they once were. But here's the thing. It happens to everybody here. It's not that Bill Self is not a great coach. He's a Hall of Famer, and there are 90 plus, probably way more than that would take Bill Self in a heartbeat right now. Even if they were like, hey, you get 1 year of Bill Self, they'd say absolutely, because we want to make the NCAA tournament and we want to be able to recruit. Recruiting's not been an issue. the buy-in from the players, aside from 1 year, has not been an issue. To me, it all comes down to play style. And Kansas's offense has been the exact same for 20 years. And as we saw with, to use a Chiefs analogy here, we kind of saw the defenses start to catch up with the Chiefs offense, where it was so innovative and so hard to stop. And then these defenses finally said, hey, we figured it out. And it's tougher to score. I mean, no Kansas team with the talent they have should look like they did offensively in the last 5 games. That's just unheard of. They were 60th offensively in KenPom, which is the lowest in the Bill Self era. And it just seems like every single year they're reaching new lows of like, oh, it's the worst team ever. Oh, this is the worst talent they've had. Oh, this is the worst. That can't go on for 5+ years. So, yes, he deserves some of the blame here. But I also would wonder if this is it for him. If he does call it quits, if he retires, the type of guy they'd be able to bring in and how quickly things would change.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Bill Self is a Hall of Famer. His name alone, the energy that comes from it, it strikes fear in a lot of coaches out there and a lot of teams, but it's not what it once was. And I've looked at it this way this year. There is zero reason that Arizona can go 32-2 in the toughest conference. And we can all put lipstick on a pig and say, oh, Kansas finishing 3rd in a tough conference. I mean, that's, you get a ribbon for that. No, that's not what the standard should be here. If Arizona can go 30-something-2, Kansas can as well.
Yeah.
Because they have, on paper, similar players there. And for Bill Self, I still anticipate him coming back one more year. But it really just comes down to like the health, as he said. I'm sure he wants to keep coaching, but is it worth it when this current era, like you're having to get a new team every single year? You're having to do all this crazy stuff and high leverage stakes, and he's not getting any younger. I certainly would love to see him go out a little bit better than what this year was. Unfortunately, nobody can decide that, right? Do you think Coach K envisioned losing to 9-seeded North Carolina in his final game at Duke? No, but that was it for him, and he's not looked back since. You just are entering this new period of Kansas basketball where everybody knows if it's not this year, it's going to be next year. You are hiring your next coach at the University of Kansas, and that guy, I'm going to say right now, has to be a 25-plus game winner in season 1, or it's not good. I mean, you got to go out there and be this big-name coach that can immediately get Kansas back to, like, you don't need to worry about where they'll be. They'll be in first place, and they'll be top 5 in the country for the entirety of the year. They've lost that kind of fear over the last couple of years. They're just not a scary team to face. And I've been sitting here as a Kansas fan looking at opponents going, boy, I hope we keep it close. And in the past, it was, how much are we going to beat them by? It's not if we win, it's how much are we going to throttle you by? And it shows how competitive college basketball's got. And that's just the reality of it. This was not a catastrophic, abysmal. There were enjoyable moments this year. Don't get me wrong. Last year, I hope I never have to watch a single highlight of that team ever again. This one, I liked a lot of the guys that were on there. There were some memorable moments. I also can acknowledge that at the very end of it, everybody knew Kansas was not getting deep into this tournament. And if that shot falls off and they go win in overtime, sure, I am absolutely ecstatic this morning, having a great time and looking forward to the game against Duke. But if I took my crimson and blue glasses off, I would have probably expected Duke to beat the hell out of them. You know me, I hate Duke, but matchup-wise, this Kansas team was going to run out of gas eventually, and we saw that even with that comeback, they were always destined for a loss like that, and it's kind of the way it's been the last couple of years.
Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break. Went a little long there, but when we come back, we'll hear from Bill Self, and we'll also hear from Matt Painter, the Purdue head coach, because I think he had some fascinating words for mid-major coaches complaining about scheduling. So it's kind of point counterpoint. We've heard from Miami of Ohio. We heard from High Point. Now we'll hear from one of the big boys. But after Bill Self audio and what he had to say after the game, and he broaches the subject of his future, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll break away right now. It's 1:21. We'll come back, listen to Bill Self. We'll also hear from Matt Painter coming up next.
You're listening to the Shane
I got
Dennis
my
Show
library
on ESPN Wichita.
It's Crosswinds Casino's 5th anniversary. Join us and celebrate all month long and win your share of $18,000 in win plays on Saturdays during the Fab 5 Frenzy. Earn entries starting March 1st, then play with your Club Wins card Saturdays from noon to 8 p.m. as 2 lucky winners will be drawn every hour to each win $250 wins played. Don't miss Crosswinds Casino's 5th anniversary celebration and your share of 18,000 wins play. So close, so fun. Visit crosswindscasino.com.
In business, just like in sports, the best defense wins games. That's where Conradi Insurance comes in, delivering elite risk management and employee benefits to companies across the greater Wichita area. As the largest family-owned independent insurance agency in Wichita, we don't just talk the talk, we protect Kansas businesses like they're part of our team. Conradi Insurance, built for business, rooted in community, always playing to win. Visit ConradiInsurance.com to get in the game.
College basketball is in full swing, and the best place to catch every rivalry and every big shot is Twin Peaks. Enjoy scratch-made favorites, legendary wings, and 29-degree draft beer with wall-to-wall TVs putting you courtside. Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views.
Hey, this is Blake Davis with Davis Liquor Outlet. And this is Brian Davis with another great special on Twisted Tea 12-pack cans, only $16.99.
Plus, for you wine lovers, snag a 750 ml of Noble Vines Pinot Grigio for just $8.99.
Davis Liquor Outlet,
Each store independently owned and operated.
neighborhood locations with superstore prices.
What do people with blindness or low vision need to live to the fullest? Just ask them. It's skill development, scientific breakthroughs, knowledge-based jobs, and the same opportunities as everyone else. When you give to Envision, whether it be your time, donations, or your engagement, you make it all possible. That's because at Envision, they don't focus on the disability. They value the ability. They choose not to envision a world without sight, but to envision a world where people who are blind or visually impaired are empowered to reach their full potential. Learn more at envisionus.com.
Wichita, if you're trying to feel better, have more energy, and take better care of yourself, I want to tell you about Empowering Wellness. They focus on whole body wellness and helping people build healthier routines that actually fit real life. Whether you're busy, active, or just want to feel your best day to day, Empowering Wellness is there to support you on your health journey. Visit empoweringwellnessict.com to learn more or book your first visit, and tell them you heard about them on ESPN Wichita 92.3.
Wichita, are you ready? The 2026 Women's Basketball Invitation Tournament is taking over Charles Koch Arena, and the road to a championship runs through you. Semifinals on March 30th. 2 games, 1 ticket. Then it all comes down to the championship game, April 1st at 6 p.m. All session tickets are just $40. Single session seats are only $22. Groups of 10 start at just $10 a ticket. This is March basketball. This is Wichita. This is WBIT. Grab your seats now at GoShockers.com/tickets.
In Kansas, truth is told in speed, wide open, full bore, and no mercy. Season momentum earned 3 and 4 wide. Loud, intense, inches predicting outcomes. Blink and miss.
They bang sideways.
What just happened? Pure speed whipping across the plains.
Hell yeah, boys!
NASCAR weekend at Kansas Speedway, April 18th and 19th. Get your tickets now at kansasspeedway.com.
NBA Monday on ESPN Radio. It's a Western Conference showdown in Big D.
Racing down floor, went up to the jam and got blocked by Porzingis.
The Golden State Warriors continue their push to the postseason when they face Cooper Flag and the Dallas Mavericks.
Flag on the run of the rim. Hey, jams it home with the right hand. Cooper Flag.
The Warriors at the Mavericks. Coverage begins Monday at 9 Eastern with tip-off at 9:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app. Presented by Indeed.
Brett Young's born day. 125 here on a Monday. All right, so KU season over, 67-65. Is this the end of the line for Bill Self? We will find out here shortly, we hope. But after the game, after that gut-wrenching loss to St. John's, Self took to the podium, so we'll hear from him here in a second. We'll also hear from another big-time coach here in a little bit on a different topic. But here's Bill Self after the game and after the loss yesterday to St. John's.
Bill Self.
Well, if you want it in its entirety, it's $11.50.
Okay.
The tournament is one of the things that makes it so great is that
it can be great, but it can also be cruel. And, we obviously put ourselves in a position to play from behind the whole game and then really competed and played great down the stretch and just didn't finish what we had started down the stretch. But certainly disappointed, sad for our guys because they tried so hard. But, just a tough afternoon.
Jalen Fong, KYMA Sports. When Flory has those 2 early fouls, what did you guys have to change defensively, considering how good of a rebounding team St. John's is?
We really didn't change. We put Paul in, and actually, I thought Paul played great. Thought he played big. We got, they kicked us on the glass to start the game. A couple of them were, we got our butts whipped, but a couple of them were kind of unfortunate bounces too. But I thought defensively for the entire game, we played the scout report, and we didn't want to Hopkins to shoot set shots, but these averages, I think he's made 20 on the year or something like that, and 0.6 a game. We would probably live with that for the most part, and I wish we would have bluffed at him a couple of times, but he made shots that basically our scout report said if he takes them, he takes them.
Jesus Garcia, KCR Radio. 2 questions. First, Cole had not seen the court until the last 3 games. After that 9-minute stretch, can you just talk a bit about his impact and your reasoning for subbing him out on the last play?
Well, yeah, we tried to get our best defensive team in there, so that was why we did that. And obviously, it wasn't a very good effort on us. The last 3.9? Had to guard 4 bounces, and we didn't guard 4 bounces. So, that was really disappointing. But Cole did a great job. I mean, that's hard not to play and then be inserted in and do what he did in a short amount of time. I thought he's great.
And second question, a lot has been made about your coaching future. Given what you've gone through on and off the court, how much time will you take to reflect upon what is next on this stage of your career?
Well, I haven't really gone through much on the court. I've gone through some stuff off the court. So I'll get back and get with family and visit and see what's going on. I love what I do. I need to be able to do it where I'm feeling good and healthy to do it, fairly well. So I'll get back home and it'll all be discussed.
Michael Swain, 24/7 Sports. You talked a lot about the physicality going into this game. How do you feel like your team matched up in that regard?
I thought great after the start of the game. I thought the first 5 to 7 minutes we didn't, and then after that I thought we did very well. Zuby made the 2 plays late. Catches the ball in the dead corner with 3 on the shot clock, and drives it and shoots a right-hand jump hook and scores, and then he makes the really good spin move late. Other than that, I thought, until the last play, I thought we defended them soundly. We rebounded it well, and we offensive rebounded. They were playing a little bit like we were on Friday, just trying to get to the finish line, and we were more aggressive. And I wish we'd been that way earlier in the game.
All right, there's Bill Self after the game, 67-65, the loss to St. John's. Time for our PHP Law Player of the Week. For more than 38 years, their experienced team has helped fight for your rights regardless of legal status. Call them at 316-683-9080 or find them online at phpattorneys.com. My player of the week is not a player at all. He's a coach. He's a coach at Purdue, and it's Matt Painter, the former SIU coach, by the way, from back in the day. But a lot had been made of Miami of Ohio and to some degree High Point during their runs to the tournament. And a lot had been made of the comments made by their coaches as far as how hard it is to schedule, mid-major versus Power 4, et cetera, et cetera. Before we hear Matt Painter's retort to that, some news. Creighton coach Greg McDermott will retire at the end of the year. They're in that other tournament in Vegas. So whenever Creighton's season is over, Greg McDermott's career will be over. Wes Miller is on the move. Charlotte has hired him. Providence has lured Brian Hodgson away from USF. So there's some American news for you. And VCU has extended Phil Martelli Jr., a contract extension through 2031 for Phil Martelli Jr. So Matt Painter responded to, prior to one of their games, responded to the kind of hubbub surrounding Miami of Ohio and High Point and mid-majors, the quote-unquote mid-majors, not getting any D1, not getting any high major teams to play them. And Matt Painter had an answer for it. And here it was a couple of days ago.
Yeah, and it's, you got to keep things in perspective, because if he was in my position, like, you're going to play 11 non-conference games next year, it's going to go to 12. And so we play 6 high major games and we play 5 mid-major teams. So when they say they don't play mid-majors, like, we played 5 mid-majors this year. But if he was in our position, he'd do the same thing we're doing. Like, I didn't set the net rankings. The net rankings set themselves, but I'm going to go by it. Like, I'm going to figure it out. The coaches that don't look at the net rankings and get things figured out how to schedule are bozos. They're absolute bozos. You are going to do what is best for your institution so you can get in the tournament and help your seed. So we're the only program in the country that's been a top 4 seed, 9 years in a row. And so we played Akron, right? We played Kent State. We played Oakland. So, like, we've played mid-majors, but everybody plays mid-majors. Every high major plays mid-majors. They're just saying they're not playing them. And it's really a backhanded compliment if they're not playing it. But we've proved ourselves. Like, like the guy at Miami of Ohio says, like, nobody will play us. Well, Akron's been the best team in the league. Kent State's been the best team in the league. We played them. Year before that, Toledo's been a damn good team in that league and almost won it this year in the tournament. We played them. And so, like, we've shown ourselves in terms of, like, but I'm also doing it from a net standpoint, because playing those teams help you. But nobody wants to play 5 or 6 of teams like that. They're going to play 2 or 3. I know Michigan played good people. I know Michigan State played good people. But, like, the people that are looking to move their seed line are looking at that stuff and looking at it. And so just some people aren't that way, and they're not wired that way. You got to get wired to do what's best for the net. And so when you're a mid-major guy and you say those things and now you get a high major job, you got to be careful. You're talking with the forked tongue there.
And that's kind of what I was saying. If a mid-major guy, if the High Point guy or the Miami of Ohio guy gets a Power 4 job, shoes on the other foot. Like, you're gonna schedule the best team in the MAC? And Matt Painter's retort was, Akron had been the best team in the MAC, prior to this year. And so it was kind of a roundabout way of lashing back at mid-major coaches complaining about not getting anybody to play them, because Painter's right. I mean, they're not all, Purdue's not playing exclusively high major teams. You're going to bring in some mid-majors. You're going to bring in some smaller schools in November and December. And it just so happened that it wasn't Miami of Ohio, because they hadn't consistently been the best team in the MAC. That would have in the past helped out Purdue's or teams like them in the net, their numbers. What could, fluff their pillow into March and getting seeds like Purdue gets year in and year out. All right. When we return, we need to have a little I'm Old Jack Young in our lives. That will come your way next, and Pat will be here, and we'll have a little crosstalk, and it gets you ready for the Pulse coming up from 2 to 4. IOJY when we come back.
You're listening to the Shane Dennis Show on ESPN Wichita, 92.3 FM.
Get ready, Wichita. Women's championship basketball is headed to the Air Capital. For the first time ever, the Women's Basketball Invitation Tournament semifinals and finals are coming to Charles Koch Arena. Watch the nation's top Division I teams battle it out in the semifinals on March 30th. Then see who takes home the trophy at the championship game on April 1st. All session tickets start at just $40. Don't miss your chance to be part of the exciting postseason action right here in Wichita. It's the Women's Basketball Invitation Tournament, Charles Koch Arena, March 30th and April 1st, only here in Wichita. Get your tickets today at GoShockers.com.
You've got options for what you can do with your money. So asking the right banking and investing questions matters. But who you ask is just as important as what you ask. At Commerce Bank, we have 160 years of experience helping people like you get the most out of their money. No matter your questions, we have proven financial solutions and strategies that we can tailor to meet your needs. Working together, we'll find your answers. The only answers that matter. Commerce Bank. Challenge accepted. Member FDIC.
Seven Clans First Council Casino and Resort is turning 18, and we're cranking up the action in March with the hottest seats yet. $500 hot seats on Thursday, $1,000 hot seats on Friday, $1,500 hot seats on Saturday. All you have to do is earn entries on your Seven Clans Players card to be eligible to win. And that's not all. Every Saturday, we're giving away a different grand prize, a side-by-side, golf cart, vacation getaway, and $15,000 in cash. It's easy to see why winners play here. It's our 18th birthday. You're taking home the spoils. Seven Clans First Council Casino and Resort, Highway 77 in Newkirk.
If pain is keeping you off the field or out of your daily routine, it's time for expert help. At Midwest Pain Relief Center, you'll be treated at the only local nationally certified disc center, knee center, laser center, and neuropathy center serving Wichita and South Central Kansas. They specialize in treating bulging or herniated discs, neuropathy, tendonitis, rotator cuff injuries, knee pain, tennis elbow, and more, using advanced non-surgical treatments to reduce inflammation and speed recovery. Stop managing pain, start fixing it. Schedule your consultation today at MidwestPainReliefCenter.com.
Sports fans know the best games deserve the best food, and nothing beats Booth Creek Wagyu, raised right here in Kansas. Whether it's burgers on the grill, steak night at home, or tailgating before the big game, Booth Creek Wagyu brings you premium flavor, unmatched tenderness, and a true farm-to-table experience. Stop by their location at 21st and Webb and taste the difference for yourself. Booth Creek Wagyu, changing the way America eats beef. Visit boothcreekwagyu.com to order today.
The celebration is on.
The road to the Final Four starts here.
David has stunned Goliath. No good step back. Lorenzo Charles. Nate. Lorenzo Charles.
Your home of the NCAA tournament, Final Four, and National Championship game.
Leitner catches, comes down, dribbles, shoots, scores!
Westwood One's play-by-play of the NCAA tournament is brought to you by Janet King, Davis Liquor Outlet, Prochaska Howell and Prochaska Law, and Phoenix Home Care and Hospice.
She let me standing on a porch down in Georgia, had me begging, yelling, baby, don't leave. She had her middle finger waving out the window like she didn't give a damn about me. I'd have been better off if she took the dog and left me with nothing to do but head down to the bar and get a head start on healing these heartbreak blues.
I'm old Jack Young. Is this new?
Very new.
That's what I thought.
So this is a layup for you then?
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
No. Like the message of the song?
I love it. The middle finger thing a minute ago, that got me started. You giving me this guy before?
Yep. Yeah. You've had him before. Pretty sure you got him right, too.
Yeah.
Don't overthink it. You know who it is.
I think I've heard this song one time. This would be two.
First time for me.
Alcohol of Fame. Huh. Luke Combs?
You're right.
Okay. Easy day for birthdays for old Jack also. here on March 23rd.
Of course it is.
It is. I mean, I don't know if it's a Hall of Fame type of birthday day, but pretty close. Pretty close. A lot of good ones. A lot of recognizable ones. Starting with turning merely 34. Kyrie Irving.
Cleveland Cavalier, Boston Celtic,
Dallas Maverick.
Dallas Maverick.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Duke.
Do you know where he was born? Bonus point. Not here.
Is it not in the States? I'll say somewhere in the Caribbean.
Says here he's born in Australia.
See, I thought he was Australian.
I did not know that.
Really?
Really? He's a Melbourneite.
Ever been to Australia?
Nope.
Care to go?
Had a chance once when I was playing. Had a chance to play winter ball there. Should have done it, huh? I wouldn't go now. It's too far away. That sounds ridiculous, but I don't want to spend an entire day trying to get there. My boy Bluma went for his honeymoon. He said, man, it's a lot getting there and back, of course.
Sure. Yeah, the travel to get there. No thanks.
Nope.
And then, like, just some of the other stuff that they have too, the gigantic snakes and the spiders. And,
Yeah, all the things that will kill you.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. I wouldn't go that far, but
I know it's probably embellished a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
But still, I see enough, and it's just nope. I don't need to do that. It seems like no matter where you go, ocean, in your house,
yeah.
out in
I know.
nature,
Give me the willies just thinking about it.
just
I know what you're talking about, though.
all of it.
Maurice Jones-Drew, 41.
Former Jaguar.
Correct. Tony Pena Jr., 45.
Former Royal and now a member of the staff in, I believe, Quad Cities. He's been managing or coaching for the last couple of years in the system.
Mm-hmm. Mark Burley, 47.
White Sox.
One of my favorite pitchers ever. You want to know why?
Mm-hmm. Get done with the game quickly.
That's right. He doesn't mess around. Exactly why. Plus, didn't he have a perfect
Pitched
game?
a game drunk, too. Yeah, he had a perfect game and pitched a game either buzzed or drunk.
Good for him.
Can't condone that, but good for him.
I think it was, it was a World Series game, too.
Good Lord.
Earned a save in Game 3 of the 2005 World Series.
Oh, that
after
was
drinking
because he
beer in
didn't
the
think he was
bullpen.
going to pitch one of those things.
Yeah.
And he started having a few
He
cocktails.
didn't expect to pitch in the
That's right.
14-inning game.
Yeah.
Is he holding up a one? He wants me to do a fastball?
Got the save in 3 pitches.
God, legend. Joel Peralta, 52.
Oh, that's another Royal.
Yeah, see? Told you.
Yeah, Shane said that
Here's more on it.
Go on.
Pitching coach Don Cooper confirmed Burley was drinking beer, according to CBS Sports. And this article from thescore.com in Chicago, catcher A.J. Przinsky later stated on his podcast that Burley was full drunk.
Oh, even better. Like him even more now. Jason Kidd, 53.
Man, this is a easy
Cal
day.
Golden Bear.
Correct.
Net, Maverick,
Would have accepted Olympian.
coach.
Would have accepted coach. Yes. Carl Pickens, 56.
That's football.
NFL Hall of Pretty Good, maybe. Carl Pickens. Good player. Mike Remlinger, 60.
That's baseball.
Very good. Left-handed pitcher. Reds, Braves.
Brave, correct?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Probably most famously Braves. Born on this day, now dead. Moses Malone.
Basketball.
Stud. No college. Three-time MVP. Finals MVP. 12-time All-Star. Very famously predicted in 1983 how many games it would take for the Sixers to win the title. Foe. Oh, Moses.
I like that.
Yes. Gino Auriemma, 72.
Dang.
UConn coach.
Correct. Born on this day, now dead. Bo Diaz.
Baseball.
Correct. You know how he died?
I do not.
He was outside tweaking his satellite dish.
Stop.
And fell.
It fell.
Oh.
The dish fell?
Google Bo Diaz if you don't believe me. Tragic accident, Bo Diaz.
Good night.
When a satellite dish he was trying to install on the roof of his Caracas home fell on him, crushed his neck and head.
Yeah. Moral of that story is get a guy. Call a guy.
Oh, call a guy.
Yeah. Ron Jaworski, 75.
Football.
Yep.
And draft
guru.
Draft analyst.
You know what his nickname was?
Jaws, right?
Yes. Also one other one.
I don't know.
The Polish Rifle.
The Polish Rifle.
Yeah, not bad, huh? Besides Jaws. Born on this day, now dead. George Scott.
Baseball.
Very good. Good job.
He's what are you, a Red Sox?
Yes. Yes. And a couple of other teams, but yes. Also born on this day, now dead. Come on, Jack. Lee May would have been 83.
Baseball.
Yes. My man.
That's red.
And I think former Royal, right? Lee May.
I would need to do some.
Okay, fine. I'll look.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. 81 to 82.
There you go.
Red, Astro, Oriole, Royal.
Born on this day, now dead. Non-Big Four, but you need to know who this is. Roger Bannister.
Olympian.
I'm not sure,
You don't have to give me the point.
but
You don't have to give me the point.
I might accept it. Roger Bannister ran the first sub 4-minute mile. So if he wasn't in the Olympics, then
At
Yeah,
the
we're doing it
1952 Olympics, he set a British
go.
record in the 1500 meters and finished in fourth place.
good job, Jack. Olympian.
By the way, it's sub. That is just
Isn't that obscene?
to run a mile in less than a minute.
4 minutes.
I mean, it's not
Four-
just.
yeah.
Well, no, I'm saying. Oh, sorry. You
4-minute
quarter
mile.
of a mile.
Right.
And-
Run a
yeah.
lap in less
Oh.
than a minute. Yeah.
I remember having to do the mile run in gym class in junior high, and want to say the best I ever got was in the 6 range.
I was going to say
And I
a
thought I was
7-minute
kinda
mile when
haul-assing
you're
a little bit.
Yeah, 7-minute mile
It
when
was
you're
good.
in junior high is good. I always thought.
I don't even know what that would look like on the track. Of not only are you fast as hell, but I guess you don't break stride.
359.4 back in 1954 in England. That's where he did it. I wonder what his 100-yard splits. What does that make that?
It's gotta be insane.
I know. We had to run for conditioning when we came back from Christmas in college.
Mm-hmm.
Sub 6. 6 or better.
Ours was always for high school. You always opened 5 o'clock in the morning, 2-a-days. All right, boys, time to run 2 miles. Here we go.
Timed
Right.
though?
Yep.
Yeah.
Right off the bat. Just boom. Welcome, boys.
Indian runs. Those are fun.
Mm-hmm.
Not.
Poor little freshman. Welcome to the show.
Mm-hmm.
This is what you have to deal with. Remember when he didn't do anything throughout the summer weightlifting?
You should have. Yep.
You should have.
Remember when you sat on your ass and ate all Christmas break? You shouldn't have.
You shouldn't have.
Yep.
Remember that program that we gave you to do some training, some workouts? I bet you regret that.
Yeah, those weren't just suggestions.
God, that practice back, though, from Christmas, though, always brutal.
Yep.
Always brutal. Doesn't matter what level. College, high school.
You just dread it. It's just fear.
Yep.
And that 6-minute mile was 100% fear.
Yeah.
Like run as fast as you can for as long as you can and just hope you can make it to the end. And that's good enough, you know?
I think we had to do like 10 and 1s as soon as you came back. It was just, all right, here we go.
Yep.
Get going.
And we did it at midnight. Why, I don't know. And it was at the arena. It was at Charles Koch Arena. It was Levitt Arena back then, around the concourse. Like, I think it's 6 laps equals a mile. That's where we did it. The midnight mile. It was always Super Bowl Sunday, too.
Boy, they knew what they were doing.
Yeah. You get behind a rabbit and don't let them out of your sight, and you'll make it. Make sure that they don't turn the corner. You can't see them anymore because you won't make it. Dead Day, Joe Garagiola, 10 years ago.
Football.
No, he's a former catcher and sportscaster, baseball. World Series in the 40s for the Cardinals. He was 90. I think he was also on the Today Show, Joe Garagiola. Also dying on this day, Virgil Trucks.
That's quite the name, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sure that's baseball.
Very good. Died at the age of 95.
Oh, Virgil Trucks.
Former pitcher. Also dying on this day in 1993 at the age of 31 from a boating accident, Tim Cruz.
I'll say baseball.
Yeah. Former Indian pitcher. Under the influence, driving a boat at night.
Ugh.
Yep.
Is it someone you know on the text line there?
Yes.
Were they the fastest guy of the group?
Who?
Oh, they're asking you who ran the
Yeah, I'm
fastest
telling you.
mile.
Tyler Green and Tony Mills ran the fastest 6-minute miles when I was there. And Tyler Green was a pitcher. He was first rounder too. You remember him, Jack? Tyler Green, Phillies?
Not well enough.
You would have been a little on the young side. I'll forgive you. Events. 1957. North Carolina beats Kansas 54-53 in triple overtime. Wilt Chamberlain, 4th player to be named tournament MOP despite not playing for the winning team. How did that happen? Did KU not win that game? Or any game that Wilt Chamberlain played in?
The better question is, why was that game in the 50s when you had somebody that was 7 foot on a bunch of 6 foot dudes?
Because North Carolina probably held it every time they got the ball. Yeah.
I don't think there was a shot clock.
Not in
my guess.
1957, there wasn't.
Mm-hmm. Stall ball.
Yep. 4 corners. That's what North Carolina used to call it. 4 corners. Yeah. Boring. Teams do that against us in high school. It drove me nuts. All right. That'll do it for me and for Shane Dennis Show here on a Monday. We will run it back, do it all again tomorrow. So thank you for listening. Stick around, though. The Pulse is coming up next.
Bye, Shane.
Goodbye.
Wichita's sports leader. ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM, KKGQ Newton.
Get ready, Wichita. Women's Championship Basketball is headed to the Air Capital. For the first time ever, the Women's Basketball
Figure out how many live reads I had.
semifinals and finals are coming to
there they are.
Charles Coker
Yeah, I
Arena.
sent in the
Watch
group
the
message.
nation's top
just saw it.
Division I teams battle it
I was
out
just
in the
beginning to wonder.
semifinals on March 30th. Then see
But
who
it's
takes
like
home the
4 of
trophy at
them.
the championship game on April 1st. All session tickets start at just $40. Don't miss your chance to be part of exciting postseason action
Yay.
right here in Wichita. Get your tickets today at GoShockers.com.
Progressive presents Adjusting to the Suburbs. You just bought a home in the suburbs, but no one told you about all the birds, specifically this one, who seems to be calling out Roy. Roy. But who exactly is Roy? And why doesn't he ever respond? Maybe Roy is just bird speak for save with Progressive by bundling your home and auto. I guess until Roy answers, we'll never know. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided in service by affiliates and third-party insurers.
So I'll be honest, I'm not a big sports person. I mean, I'll go to the game with some friends, but half the time I'm just there for snacks and I'm usually asking someone, so what's going on? But I do understand a good team when I see one. My name's Eden, and here at Janie King, we're the team behind the scenes, keeping businesses clean and running smoothly, from medical offices to industrial buildings and even your local event venues. So if your workplace could use an all-star cleaning crew, check out Janie King. I might not know the score, but I do know a win when I see one. Visit JanieKing.com for more information on our services or becoming a franchise owner yourself with your own winning cleaning team.
And we are all tied up in the bottom of the ninth. Bases loaded. Electric in here. Electric. All comes down to this pitch. You throw the fastball here. But it looks like Brock is walking off the field and is leaving the stadium. What is going on here?
I'm getting word that he left to get a taco. When you need a taco, you need a taco. Introducing the new Cantina Crispy Melt Taco, only from Taco Bell. At participating U.S. locations for a limited time only.
The Women's Basketball Invitation Tournament is coming to Wichita, and your young athlete can be a part of the action. Join former Wichita State basketball players and friends for the WBIT Youth Basketball Clinic on Saturday, March 28th from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Open to boys and girls in kindergarten through 8th grade. This fun and energetic clinic is just $10 to attend. And here's the best part. Registration includes one ticket to the championship game on April 1st. Sign up today by visiting GoShockers.com/tickets.
Game day isn't just a moment, it's a ritual, and the real MVPs of your watch party, Auburn Spirits and Auburn Wine and Spirits. From tailgate-ready brews to top-shelf picks, Auburn Spirits and Auburn Wine and Spirits keeps your lineup stacked and your cooler championship ready. Whether you're cheering from the couch or hosting the whole squad, trust Auburn Spirits at 13303 West Maple, West Wichita, and Auburn Wine and Spirits at 320 North Rock Road, East Wichita.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Reese, the defending NBA champion Thunder, ready to welcome back standout forward Jalen Williams when it tries to run its winning streak to 12 tonight against the 76ers. How OKC played while Williams was out 16 games with a hamstring injury, impressed ESPN NBA analyst Iman Shumpert.
You have to have a bench, and you have to have a bench that can switch up pace a little bit and also make sure that the game never drops off in competition. I think the Thunder are as good as anybody in their plug-and-play situations. I think it's given J-Dub more than enough time to get healthy, make sure not only is that hamstring healthy, but make sure that wrist is healthy from last year, because they're going to need him come to playoffs and when you need to close games out.
Oklahoma City's got a 3-game lead on San Antonio atop the Western Conference. Like the Thunder, Lakers are on a solid late-season run, winners of 9 straight. They are at the East, leading Pistons tonight. Mexican prospect Kareem Lopez declared for June's NBA draft. He's the number 11 player on ESPN's big board. He's projected to become the first Mexican-born player to be selected in the first round of the NBA draft. Baseball, Cubs right fielder Seiya Suzuki knee injury will start the season on the injured list.
When I want that big birthday energy, I grab Confetti Craze 5-Hour Energy. It's Vanilla E, buttery cake flavor without the sugar, and it's easy to take anywhere. The Funfetti flavor is back on 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. Crack open a Confetti Craze 5-Hour Energy shot today.
You're listening to The Pulse with Pat Strathman on ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM.
Small town, big dreams, and a young boy the age of 15.
Had a premonition his city would get sane. Now I'm winning, get Shane in the city of the home of
What's up, Wichita? Happy Monday, everyone. Hope you had a terrific weekend. A weekend filled with college basketball. Sounds lovely to me. Definitely had my fill the last 4 days. Hopefully you did as well. Wichita State moving on in the NIT for Kansas. The Jayhawks end up falling short of the Sweet 16 once again. And now what's next for Kansas? Those are things that we are set to talk about right here on the Pulse on Wichita Sports Leader, ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM. Glad to have you here. Thanks for punching us in on your radio dial. But here are the other ways that you can listen. And boy, do we have ways for you to listen. ESPNWichita.com. Head to the website. There's a listen live button. Can't miss it. Click on it. You can pull up a separate media player and listen to us that way. We also have podcasting capabilities on there as well, if that suits your fancy. We also have podcasts on there as well. If you need to check out your bracket to see how your bracket's doing, the bracket challenge page is still up. Our annual bracket challenge this year presented to you by Davis Moore Chevrolet, Truck Stuff, and Phoenix Home Care in Hospice. I was doing okay through the first 3 days. Changed a little bit yesterday, but I think a lot of people would probably say the same thing considering what Iowa was able to do against Florida. So if you want to go and see how well you're doing, head on over to ESPNWichita.com. If you have a smart speaker, those things can do a lot of things for you. Tell your smart speaker to tune into ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM or KKGQ. And if you haven't tested out the ESPN Wichita app yet, I would highly recommend you do so because that app is wonderful. Take it on the go wherever you go. If you start traveling somewhere and you start to hear some static on the radio, you can switch on over to the ESPN Wichita app. Or if you want to watch us from your office as you're working away here for today, I think Monday after the first couple of days of the NCAA tournament, I think it's right up there for the Monday after Super Bowl. Might be a little bit difficult. If you need us to get you through the day and you want to watch us, head on over to YouTube, Facebook, and X. I'm Pat Strathman. Producing today is Jack Johnson. 316-669-4996. If you would like to give us a call, that is the number for you. Text line number is 316-247-0923. I'm sure a lot of you have some thoughts on what has transpired over the last couple of days. Shocker fans, Wichita State moving on to the quarterfinals. Another game with Tulsa coming up tomorrow. Kansas fans, I'm sure you have some words to share in regards to what took place yesterday against St. John's. So hit us up. We would love to hear from you today. 316-247-0923. You can also interact on social media. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on X. Primarily, if you want to reach us directly, X is really the place to be. Facebook works as well. If you choose to go to Facebook, that gets the job done as well. Coming up here today, Sweet 16 is officially set. It does not include Kansas, which is a bummer for a lot of individuals, but we will take a look back at what has taken place in the NCAA tournament. Do you have any thoughts on what took place? I know I have some thoughts on who's left standing, so we'll get to that coming up in a little bit. At 2:45, we'll have our Beast of the Week. I will go ahead and spoil it for you. There will be some Wichita State flavor when it comes to that. Hour number 2, if you are a Kansas fan, the second hour is going to be for you. It might be a painful second hour, but we will have the second hour filled with Kansas talk. First and foremost, just looking back at how it all went down yesterday. And then at 3:25, a lot of people wondering what the future of the program is looking like. We'll address that. And then at the very end of the show, we'll do our usual Mount Rushmore Monday. That's what we got for you today. It is March 23rd, 2026. Hope you are doing well. Glad to have you here. and thanks for being a part of the ESPN Wichita family. It is Wichita Sports Leader, ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM. Good old Tristan chiming in already. Here he is doing an impersonation of KU choking, I suppose. Although the fact that KU was even in the game yesterday was kind of a surprise based on how it all went in the first half. I didn't think that KU had any shot after how things began, but it is what it is. But we'll save that talk for hour number 2. So, Tristan, sorry if you're trying to bait me right now. It's just not going to happen. Instead, we got to look back at what took place for Wichita State. The Shockers able to go down to Stillwater, Oklahoma, avenged a loss from last year to the Cowboys, and they absolutely hammered Oklahoma State in Stillwater 96-70. Now, there was a point where Oklahoma State got hot and rallied. They got back in the game, but really, for the most part, Wichita State just ripped out the heart of Oklahoma State. It was a 7-point lead at the half, but Wichita State outscored Oklahoma State by 19 in the second 20 minutes. Everyone getting involved, including Henry Thankfall in his 1 minute of action getting a bucket, which that was cool to see. But we have talked to Taylor Eldridge on the show numerous times, and Taylor has mentioned just envision if Wichita State can fire on all cylinders. Just envision if Kenyon Giles has an efficient shooting performance from beyond the arc, because that's something that we didn't necessarily see with Wichita State. As good as the offense has been, it's not like Wichita State has been this really, really good shooting team, especially from distance. What do we see last night, though? Kenyon Giles just in his bag from the get-go. He shoots 50% from distance, 8 of 16 from beyond the arc, continuing to add to his single-season record in a Shocker uniform. Ended up with 28 points in total. I thought what was really encouraging in that first half was what Karan Boyd was able to do from the field. As much as Kenyon Giles is the one you pay attention to on offense, I felt like seeing Karan Boyd going 3 of 5 from distance. That's something that's been missing for Wichita State. You wanted to see someone other than Kenyon Giles against South Florida in the American Conference Championship knock down some trays. Karan Boyd at times this year has shown that capability. Michael Gray Jr. has also shown that for Wichita State. But you haven't been able to get every one of those guys on the same page from distance. But boy, did that change last night as Wichita State as a team goes 14 of 26 from distance for 54%. Knocked down 6 trays in the first 20 minutes, 8 in the second 20. Karan Boyd with 3 triples. Michael Gray Jr. with 3 trays. And Wichita State just had a fun time last night at Gallagher Iba Arena. Kudos to all the Shocker fans who made the trek, by the way. And if you're listening right now and you made the trek, let me know. Would love to hear from you. I just want to hear what the sound was like for you down there. 316-247-0923. Did you make the trek? What was it like down there? Did you ride in a bus? I would love to know a little bit more, because I was blown away by how loud it truly was in there, not for Oklahoma State. And that place can get rowdy in favor of the Cowboys, but it's been a little while since they've really been so-so, really ever since, you look at their previous coaches. They've had some legendary guys be there. It's been so-so there for a little bit now down there in Stillwater, Oklahoma. I was just impressed with the amount of black and yellow that was able to make the trek. Now, it's not like Stillwater, Oklahoma is a million miles away. I'd be curious if you were there in attendance. Let me know. 316-247-0923. Shockers overall shoot 49%, but something that they were able to do extremely well. Well, something that they've done all throughout the year. They crashed the glass and pulled down offensive rebounds. They had 14 in total last night. resulting in 23 points off second chances. Shockers rarely turn the ball over. They only had 7 miscues last night, which I'm glad that they had limited turnovers, because the last couple of games with Wyoming and South Florida, you saw Wichita State just be a little bit uncharacteristic by being loose with the basketball. Some of that is just the way that South Florida plays defense. For Wyoming, I think it was more so just some very tired legs playing for the third time in 4 days. You're probably not going to be as sharp as you would like to be. So with them having double-digit turnovers there against Wyoming, can't necessarily say I fault them for something like that. But they had a chance to rest up before the game on Sunday, and you saw them get back to what they normally do. They rarely turn the ball over, and they forced 11 turnovers, and they were able to capitalize on pretty much every single one of them, as Wichita State had 18 points off the miscues. So in the specialty points category, you get 23 off second chances, you get 18 points off turnovers. They just absolutely hammered Oklahoma State. And I was a little bit concerned because you didn't know what to expect from Oklahoma State, because in the previous game in the NIT, when they got the win over Davidson, they were able to win with some guys being suspended, Anthony Roy being one of them. And he is a bucket getter. He's probably one of those players in the Big 12 that you look at that's not going to get a lot of love because of the overall team performance by Oklahoma State. But Anthony Roy can put up points. You had some other ones be who were suspended. They were able to play. You have like Victorious Miller, who ends up with 26 minutes last night. But you look at what they were able to provide. I mean, 26 minutes, but you only got 8 points. Anthony Roy only had 7 points on 3 of 11 shooting and 18 minutes of play. Just goes to show you that when you take someone away, even just for a game, how it can change some things. Kanye Clary was a big reason to why Oklahoma State got that spark, and Oklahoma State was able to get back in the game to make it somewhat competitive. But after that point, it was all Wichita State. They just absolutely bludgeoned Oklahoma State. They did it from distance. They did it with 34 points in the paint. They did it by forcing turnovers. They did it by crashing the glass. And here's Wichita State in the NIT quarterfinals. I understand that it's not the big dance like a lot of people would want to see, but here in the state of Kansas, Wichita State, last team standing here in the month of March compared to Kansas and Kansas State. So Shockers have that going for them. And they continue to add to their win total, which I think that is important for Wichita State. And they've been a team that's been hot down the stretch. They're now 24-11, and now they get another game with a rival in Tulsa. They do it down in Tulsa, Oklahoma, coming up tomorrow at 6 o'clock, which is a little bit of a surprise. I thought maybe you would see this game get played on Wednesday, but with the NIT and how they handle things and scheduling, I'm not going to sit here and question too much about how it all goes. I know some people are like, well, how is Tulsa ranked ahead of Wichita State in the NIT? How does that even work? Wichita State beat them two times out of the 3 opportunities in the season. Listen, metrics plays a big part in how seeding goes. So if you're really one of those individuals, sorry, that's just the way it goes. But mercy, Wichita State in Tulsa for a 4th time. Why not? Why not, I suppose? We've seen some pretty fun ones, so why not do another one? Why not see these 2 teams link up for a 4th time? The previous ones have all been pretty exciting to me, so why not for a trip to the semifinals? And if Wichita State were to win tomorrow, the Shockers then would go to Indianapolis, and they will be in the semis playing at Hinkle Fieldhouse on April 2nd. and they will face the winner of New Mexico and St. Joseph's, and that game is taking place tomorrow at 8 o'clock. So Wichita State, Tulsa tomorrow at 6. They will, if they win, they'll face the winner of New Mexico and St. Joseph's, and New Mexico hasn't really been slowed down. They pummeled Sam Houston. They were the number 2 overall seed in the NIT. They won 107-83 over Sam Houston, 86-61 over George Washington. And they face the St. Joseph's team that has upended the 2 and 3 seeds in the tournament, 69-64 over Colorado State, a 76-75 win over Cal. And then on the other side of the bracket, Auburn, the number 1 overall seed in the NIT, facing Nevada, Illinois State, and Dayton playing on the other side. But Wichita State is a step away from going to the semis. Who wouldn't love to see Wichita State get a win against the rival in Tulsa once more? And I get it. I know it might not be the best thing in the world. It's not the big dance, but listen, I think it would be pretty magical if you see this Wichita State team go all the way to the championship and ended up winning it, because we truly believe that Katie and Giles and some of the other members of this team, they deserve some more basketball, and they are still standing at this point after absolutely manhandling Oklahoma State. They avenged a loss from last year. They had a big crowd in their favor last night, 26-point win. It was the largest victory for Wichita State against Oklahoma State. And now they'll look to do it once more with Tulsa down inside the Donald W. Reynolds Center. Tulsa, Wichita State tomorrow, quarterfinal action. It'll be on ESPN2 in case you're wondering. And we are all curious as to if Wichita State can go one more and get to the semis. And heck, I was telling Shane, I think that would be awesome for us, because next week, Shane's actually going to be in Indianapolis. And after looking at the schedule, I think that would be perfect. If Wichita State is there, Shane will be there. It's part of our Westwood One coverage. We're going to be part of the Final Four Radio Row, which is a dream come true, something that is truly magical. We'll have all sorts of coaches and players. And because for those that don't know how it all works in the college basketball world, you get this Final Four weekend. You have these conferences going on in various convention centers, and all the coaches, some former players, they all just flock to a certain location for a couple of days. And this is the year, and I don't know if it's always been this way. I don't think it has been. I think it's been fairly recent. But you have the NCAA tournament, the Final Four in one spot. You have the NIT in one spot. It's pretty unique for that to happen, but I think the NCAA thought, let's blow it out in Indy this year. So I'm pulling for Wichita State just for the fact that there could be some fun coverage from Shane next week in Indianapolis. Maybe we'll get him a credential and he can go to the Hinkle Fieldhouse. And heck, why not experience Hinkle Fieldhouse, which is a historic place there for Butler? I think that would be kind of cool. But we're also thinking a little too far ahead because there's still one more game to be played before you can get to the semis, and Tulsa is in the way. And the Tulsa Golden Hurricane, well, they're a pretty solid squad. They rely on shooting, but Wichita State's won 2 of the 3 from this past year. Let's see what happens with the fourth meeting with these two schools that are rivals for each other. 316-247-0923. Feel free to hit us up. I would love to hear from you guys. 316-247-0923 is the text line. Were you there in Stillwater, Oklahoma? Please let me know. Adam chimes in. Yet again, the Shocks are the last team standing in March. Who had that on their bingo card at the beginning of the year? Thanks for pointing that out there, Adam. But it is true, even though NIT-wise, it's not regarded as the NCAA tournament, as popular as the NCAA tournament, but I still think that it could be a program builder for this Wichita State men's basketball program under Paul Mills, as they have really taken a big step forward for this year. Of course, we'll think about 2026, 2027 at some other point, maybe right after the season, but hopefully that doesn't take place for another couple of days. All right, coming up here in a little bit, we will take a look at the Sweet 16, and we'll break down the Sweet 16 and what we think of the final group in the NCAA tournament. 2:45, we'll have our Beast of the Week, hour number 2. If you are a Kansas fan, I'm saving all the Kansas talk for hour number 2 because I know Jack and myself will have thoughts, but I'm sure you all will have some things to say as well. KU falls to St. John's. We'll just start by talking about the season, talking about the game itself, and then we'll transition to a bigger question. That is the future of Kansas men's basketball. 3:45, we'll wrap things up with a Mount Rushmore Monday. Up next, the NCAA tournament has its final 16 teams here for 2026. We'll take a look at that, reflect on what we've seen so far. It's coming right next here on The Pulse.
The heartbeat of Wichita sports fans. The Pulse on ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM.
What's up, Wichita? How many times have you heard me talk about Kansas Pace? It's a busy time of year for a lot of individuals. Maybe it wasn't before, maybe it is now because you're juggling multiple things like work, family, and the needs of your aging parents. If you are doing that, Kansas Pace can provide the help you've been looking for. You will have peace of mind knowing your parent is receiving expert, compassionate care while living at home. Pace provides all the medical care your parent needs with their doctors, nurses, and specialists and therapists who specialize in older adults. And I've been to the Pace Center. They have everything covered. PT, OT. They have doctors and nurses. They have everything there. It's amazing. They take care of all the paperwork. They arrange all the appointments. They do all the driving. And by the way, the driver-patient relationship is so cherished by them at the Pace Center. It's really amazing. Kansas Pace takes some of the weight off your back that comes with taking care of aging parents. They become your trusted partner in caretaking. They have an activity center packed with fun activities. They actually have a loud and a quiet area depending on what you want to do, which I think is great. Medical clinic is right there. Everything is in one spot. If you need help taking care of an aging parent, it will be worth your while to check out Kansas Pace. It could just make your life and your parents' life much easier. Learn how they can help your family today at kansaspace.org. That's kansaspace.org.
Get ready to march into millions at Gillies.
Be right back.
This month, Play Rewards members have the chance to
Sound
win
good.
big, and we mean big. Every Saturday in March, 20 lucky Play Rewards members will be selected for a shot at $1 million. That's $4 million up for grabs in March. Beginning Sunday, March 1st, earn entries for the first drawing on Saturday, March 7th. Be sure to activate your entries each Saturday to qualify. And here's a bonus. Earn 2 times entries every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Don't miss your chance to march into millions at Gillies. Visit playgillies.com for details.
Go Hog Wild Pit Barbecue.
The best barbecue deal in town is at Hog Wild. Right now, Hog Wild is serving up a $5.99 meal that's big on flavor and easy on your wallet. Get a 1-meat sandwich, your favorite classic side, and a drink, all for just $5.99. Want brisket? Upgrade to our tender slow-smoked beef brisket for only $1.50 more. Pulled pork, juicy chicken, and hot links. Everything is smoked fresh, made daily, and piled high. This is real barbecue at a price that's hard to beat. When you want big flavor and a big deal, head to Hog Wild for the $5.99 meal deal today. Great food, great price, great barbecue. Join us for lunch or dinner or order online at gohogwild.com. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 6 locations in Wichita, also in Derby, El Dorado, Hutchinson, and Salina.
Go Hog Wild Pit Barbecue. Hog Wild, get some for you. But don't be late, we close at 8.
Are you ready for truck stuff to put bigger tires on your ride? You may also need to consider a gear swap. This can help you maintain acceleration and speed, reduce engine strain, improve towing capacity, and prevent premature wear and tear. Truck Stuff is the only shop in the entire state that has Yukon Gear Master Certified Technician. So to maintain your vehicle's performance, efficiency, and longevity, come see us today at Truck Stuff at the corner of Central and Washington.
Tricked out, Check us out, Truck Stuff.
Get ready, Wichita. Women's Championship Basketball is headed to the Air Capital. For the first time ever, the Women's Basketball Invitation Tournament semifinals and finals are coming to Charles Koch Arena. Watch the nation's top Division I teams battle it out in the semifinals on March 30th. Then see who takes home the trophy at the championship game on April 1st. All session tickets start at just $40. Don't miss your chance to be part of exciting postseason action right here in Wichita. Get your tickets today at GoShockers.com.
ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM, your radio home of the Kansas Jayhawks, the Wichita Wind Surge, the Dallas Cowboys, the Wichita Open, the college football playoffs, and the national championship, the World Series, the NBA playoffs, the Big 12 championship, and the best coverage of the Chiefs, Royals, Jayhawks, Wildcats, and Shockers. Locally owned and operated. ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM.
Welcome back. Just got done talking about Wichita State and the NIT. Just saw a tweet from Wichita State's official athletics handle on X. It would appear that another Oklahoma takeover is starting to form for Wichita State. So many fans wearing black and yellow yesterday for the game in Stillwater. I'm glad that a lot of people are going to try to take over Tulsa because that is a very doable drive. I know it's Tuesday night. It's at 6 o'clock, but it would appear that there are a ton of people planning to take Tulsa over. And I am a big fan of that. So keep it rolling. Keep it rolling. All right, coming up here in a little bit, we have our Beast of the Week. Of course, if you have any thoughts along the way, hit us up, please. 316-247-0923. That is 316-247-0923. Sweet 16 thoughts. Well, first off, how's your bracket doing? Is your bracket doing okay? If you don't know, go and check out your brackets on ESPNWichita.com. I was doing okay, and then all of a sudden, things did not go well yesterday, but it is what it is. I'm not, too heartbroken, I suppose. But here's your Sweet 16. You have Duke knocking off TCU 81-58. Turns out the Blue Devils, they woke up and they were able to handle Jamie Dixon's bunch. St. John's wins at the buzzer over Kansas. Put that in your back pocket for next hour because we will spend plenty of time talking about Kansas basketball. You better believe that. Michigan State, 8 points better than Louisville, 77-69. Tom Izzo with another Sweet 16 appearance. UConn in a battle of two coaches that no one seems to like. UConn ends up beating UCLA 73-57. Jack, were you rooting for a meteor to crash in that building last night for UConn and UCLA?
Oh, I don't know if I have that much resentment toward those two schools.
Yeah?
Yeah, the coaches can be hotheads for sure.
Okay.
But I'm indifferent on them.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, Mick Cronin is one. Like, if you were to ask me who gets under your skin more, Dan Hurley or Mick Cronin, it's Mick Cronin by far. I don't know why I feel that way. I know Dan Hurley is smug in some ways, but it's different for a guy like Mick Cronin who's at UCLA, and yet it's not like he's been this power there in California. But I digress. Iowa ends up beating Florida in the last couple of seconds, 73-72. Speaking of two coaches, those two coaches didn't like each other last night, Todd Golden and Ben McCollum. Listen, for Iowa, just telling you right now, when they hired Ben McCollum away from Drake, Ben McCollum just waited for his opportunity. He was at Northwest Missouri State for a long time. Dude won natty after natty, and then he ends up taking the job at Drake. We get a chance to see to see Ben McCollum and what he was able to do at Drake. And then he ends up going to Iowa. And in no surprise, is he already doing big things there for the Hawkeyes as the 9 seed upends Florida 73-72. Down goes the national champs. Nebraska, mercy, what a crowd in Oklahoma City. The Cornhuskers end up edging Vanderbilt 74-72. Illinois pounds VCU 76-55. Houston with no issues over Texas A&M 88-57. Arizona, it was a little pesky effort there from Utah State, but primarily I never really felt worried about the Wildcats 78-66. Arkansas and High Point, that was probably a closer game than what most people would expect. I expected High Point to win that first round game over Wisconsin. Didn't really like their chances against Arkansas team that can just put up points in bunches. But High Point, give credit to the Panthers. They made it close, although Arkansas got the win 94-88. Texas knocks off Gonzaga 74-68. I'm telling you, those first 4 teams, when they get that first win and then they go to the round of 64, just getting one under your belt just really gives you that confidence. And Gonzaga, I never really liked Mark Few's team this year, which is funny considering how Tyon Grant Foster, who started at KU, ended up going there and was at Grand Canyon and so on and so forth. But I never really liked what Gonzaga had this year. Never really thought that they were built to make a deep run like previous Mark Few teams. And Texas ends up knocking them off. Purdue, 10-point win over Miami. Michigan hammers St. Louis 95-72. Alabama trucks Texas Tech. I think you saw the lack of JT Toppin there, that it caught up to the Red Raiders 90-65. Tennessee ends up beating Virginia, and there's Rick Barnes leading the Volunteers. Rick Barnes not one to win the big one, a national championship, but he has been to the Sweet 16, and he's been to the Elite Eight. He's done a better job than what you would expect. They end up beating Virginia 79-72. And then you have Iowa State without Jefferson. They end up still destroying Kentucky 82-63. Your Sweet 16, Duke, St. John's, Michigan State, UConn, Iowa, Nebraska, which, by the way, that is going to be bonkers because those two schools don't like each other. Illinois and Houston, Arizona and Arkansas, Texas, Purdue, Michigan, Alabama, Tennessee, and Iowa State. That is your Sweet 16 for the NCAA tournament. Already see someone here saying, "Go Big Red." I think that's Husker Brad. Please confirm. I'm almost positive Husker Brad. I think that's you. 316-247-0923. 105 overall in the tournament challenge. Colton, my bad, brother. Man, roll Yotes, by the way. Sorry there, man. I completely blanked on that. That's my fault, Colton. My fault. I'm so used because we get there's one person who really listens to us on a regular basis. So my bad, Colton. My bad. But good to hear from you. Now I know who you are, and now I can always go back to that. 105 overall in the tournament challenge for Wichita. So it's not good, but not the worst, I guess. That's true. And I see someone decided to call. They are driving, I believe, to Oklahoma. They gave us a call. Sorry, this isn't the number to call. Feel free to text if you can. 316-247-0923. I'm a boy from Oklahoma. I was at the game the other day. Okay. So I appreciate you doing that, but feel free to text if you can. But, of course, do it safely. Don't text and drive. But that's your Sweet 16. Can't say I'm too surprised with a lot of it. Texas being the double-digit seed representation might be the only biggest surprise of the NCAA tournament. Nebraska, I was listening to programming yesterday, and ESPN, the national talking heads that were on our station yesterday, they were talking about Nebraska being a Cinderella. And I thought to myself, you're a 4 seed. You had tremendous success all throughout the regular season. I don't know I would consider Nebraska a Cinderella, but they've never won an NCAA tournament game before this year. So I guess if you want to take a look at history and go off of that, feel free, I suppose. But real Cinderellas, you don't really think of them, being a top 5 seed in the NCAA tournament. That doesn't seem right. But I don't know how many people would consider Texas to be a Cinderella team because it's Texas out of the SEC. So, but I thought that was interesting yesterday, listening to national programming. There are going to be some bangers here for the Sweet 16. So many great games. I can't wait to watch, and I can't wait to listen to them all because that's the thing. We will have the Sweet 16 games, Elite 8 games, Final Four, National Championship. It's all right here on your home for the NCAA tournament, ESPN Wichita, 92.3 FM. Hopefully you had a chance to listen to some of the coverage. I have enjoyed quite a bit so far at this point, and hopefully you've been able to enjoy as well. But Jack, as you look at the Sweet 16, what stands out to you? Any big surprises as you take a look back at what has transpired over the first 4 days of the NCAA tournament?
Maybe only Texas being the biggest surprise there, and they still were a team that a lot of people picked to make a little bit of a run because their draw was incredibly favorable. I mean, they got a very weak Gonzaga team. They were able to get past the first 4, and now Sean Miller's got those guys rolling. But as for the rest, this is what you want to see for the most part. You want to see all the best teams still remaining, all the best coaches for the most part still out there. We love Cinderella stories, but at some point, you do want the tournament to find its level or find its water level, and that's kind of what we're seeing here. Lots of good matchups going into this weekend, and whoever wins it all this year, they're going to have to go through some form of a gauntlet because I don't know if there's going to be any team that gets that favorable Sweet 16 Elite 8 matchup. Some really good teams remaining, and I'm still pretty torn with who's going to win it all.
Yeah, and I was just going to ask you that question. Who do you go with as of right now? I look at Texas. At some point, you would think that they would just run out of juice, but they are facing Purdue and Matt Painter. Iowa and Nebraska, as much as I love Ben McCollum, I don't think Iowa is going to do it, although the guy's done nothing but win. So how dare I backtrack on that? Nebraska, I don't know. Arkansas, with the Razorbacks, I think they have an insane amount of talent. Arizona, though, just still has this front line that no one can really touch. At least it feels that way to me. Brad Underwood with Illinois. Houston is still a team that a lot of people would like just because of how they play. Now that Duke has finally woken up, maybe they will bludgeon St. John's, but I don't know. You've seen Rick Pitino, what he's been able to do. Michigan and Alabama, there will be a good amount of points probably in that game. Alabama still just worries me because of their defense. I don't know if they're going to be able to defend. I took Hofstra over them in the first round. Obviously, that didn't happen, but for a little bit, it looked like it could. And then against Texas Tech, the Red Raiders not at full strength, and you just saw exactly what happened there in that type of setting. Michigan State and UConn is going to be much-watch TV for sure. That is a must-watch game. And then Tennessee and Iowa State, if Iowa State gets Jefferson back and he's fully healthy, he had that ankle sprain, but it looked pretty nasty, that would be a big reason why I would give a little bit of a big pause there on Iowa State. I would be a little bit worried, but there's no doubt that they can make some jumpers. As of right now, I mean, my national champion pick was Duke. I'll probably still go with that, but you look at who they have after St. John's, if they get the win, it's not like that game is going to be easy there for the Blue Devils, as you brought up, who has an easy path to the Final Four. You can make an argument that everyone's going to have a pretty tough slate of games. I'll stick with my pick with Duke. I think after that narrow win against Siena, probably gave John Shire a reason to just absolutely go scorched earth on all of his players and get them to lock back in. But I wouldn't blame anyone for making an argument for anyone else, because there's still a lot of teams that are more than capable of winning a national championship. And I think that's what makes these next few games just so much fun, because I don't know if you could really firmly say that this team is by far and away head and shoulders above anyone else, because I think everyone's got a flaw or two, especially the remaining 1 seeds. They got some flaws. There's no doubt that that's the case. That's what makes the NCAA tournament so much fun. You just don't know what's really going to happen. Who was your original pick, Jack, for a national champion? I don't think I've ever asked you that.
I believe I had Arizona. So really nothing in the first couple of games here have made me change my mind on that. They, from start to finish, have been the best team in college basketball. And they're going to have to get past a red-hot Arkansas team. But also I would say it's a good matchup for Arizona, because Arkansas, as explosive as they are offensively, they don't really care much for defense. And that just, you can't win many games against Arizona when you're not going to be able to defend against all those tall trees they have in the front court.
Yeah, that's just what they have. Just the size is just such a big advantage for Arizona. I know you would be a little bit worried about their three-point shooting capabilities, but I still look at Arizona and think that the Wildcats are definitely a formidable opponent and definitely a serious contender to win the national championship. But we'll see. We'll see if any more head scratchers come about. Gosh, Nebraska and Iowa. I wonder how many people are going to be heading down, because I think they play in Houston, right? They're going all the way down to Houston to play that game. I have a feeling that there will be a good amount of people that'll be taken off later on this week to go down to Houston. 316-247-0923. Hit us up. What stands out to you at this point for the NCAA tournament? 316-247-0923. I don't think you can consider any Power 4 conference a Cinderella. See, and that's where I'm at too. I just don't think you can really label someone as a Cinderella. Like you have Kentucky that ends up being slated as an 8 seed. And it's just like, is that really a Cinderella run? Not really. So Trace, I'm right there with you. That's why I thought, listening to it yesterday, I thought this is intriguing radio to listen to. Now, the whole point of sports radio, you can make an opinion and you don't have to agree with everyone. But I just thought that was an interesting topic. And I can see to some extent where some people are coming from. But anywho, just got a text, 316-247-0923. Easiest path left to the Final Four, in my opinion. The bad boy Pistons. I mean, the Houston Cougars. That's funny there, texter. Houston's got Illinois. I wouldn't sleep on Illinois, though. Don't sleep on Brad Underwood and what Illinois has, because I think Illinois is going to give them a run for their money. And I think the reason why you say Houston's got an easy path is because they get either Nebraska or Iowa. If they end up facing the Hawkeyes are a 9 seed. Are they really going to get the job done? Meanwhile, there's Nebraska. They've been able to be pretty efficient at this point in the NCAA tournament. Gosh, they were lighting it up the other day against Vanderbilt, and then to the Commodores' credit, they come roaring back and made it a game. I think Houston would probably make things rather challenging for Nebraska, just with their defense and how they attack. And you know what people say? People say defense wins championships. 316-247-0923. Go Big Red Nation told their bosses they are working remote this week and just drove down to Houston from OKC. No sense of going home. And I think it's so unique for us here in Wichita because you have Wichita State and Nebraska for baseball not too long ago. And you had those Nebraska fans that came down. They're like, you know what? We'll just stop in Wichita. We'll spend a night in Wichita. We'll watch some baseball, and then we'll just go ahead and mosey on down to Oklahoma City. I think that's exactly what happened. 316-247-0923. We will get to this in hour number 2, Texter, I promise. KU lost to a team that easily could have been a 3 seed. We'll talk more about that here in a little bit. Proud of the Big 12. We knew Texas Tech was open to trouble, as was KU with a roller coaster season. Iowa State and Arizona are both going to do just fine, I think. And Colton been in Lindsborg on a job site, so I haven't been able to listen to the show. All right, got you, Colton. Thanks for listening. Not a Cinderella, but I am on cloud 9. Yeah, if you're a Nebraska fan, you should be enjoying every second of this one. Fred Hoiberg has done a pretty magnificent job. I-35 is fitting to be busy as heck this week. Yeah, be careful when you're driving. I wonder how many flags you're going to be seeing flying later on this week as Nebraska fans go down to Houston. Keep the text messages rolling. We got a bunch of them. 316-247-0923. We do have to pause. When we come back, we'll do our Beast of the Week, and then we'll take a deep dive into Kansas basketball in hour number 2. We wrap up hour number 1 when we return.
The heartbeat of Wichita sports fans.
Thank you.
The Pulse on ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM.
What's up, Wichita? Do you know what's coming up in April? There's all sorts of things to look forward to in April, but let me remind you that Kansas Speedway will once again bring the excitement of NASCAR back to Kansas City, Kansas, April 18 through 19. The action-packed race weekend will kick off April 18 with the ARCA Menard Series Tide 150 at 11:30 a.m., followed by the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series Kansas Lottery 300 at 6 p.m. On Sunday, you will see the world's best drivers race to the line during the Advent Health 400 at 1 o'clock. Kansas Speedway's spring race is home to the closest finish in NASCAR Cup Series history when Kyle Larson, number 5, Hendrick Motorsports, beat Chris Boucher at the line by a mere 0.001 seconds in the 2024 Advent Health 400. Tickets are going fast, so secure yours today at kansasspeedway.com. That's kansasspeedway.com for an exciting weekend of NASCAR action April 18 and April 19.
Step into Twin Peaks and you're in the lodge. Warm wood, roaring TVs, and the kind of energy your living room wishes it had. Wings, burgers, and
did you already do your crosswinds
beer
earlier?
And a vibe that keeps you planted till the final buzzer.
All right, perfect.
Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views.
Shane had like 4
Golf
of them too, I
season is
think.
here, and everything you need is in the palm of your hand with the Great Life
Yeah,
Kansas
he had a
City
lot
app.
of reads as well.
Download it today to book tee times at the best available rates. Use the built-in digital scoreboard.
I say
with
that wrong. I
GPS
think I
yardage,
said the guy's
and
name
enter
wrong.
weekly and season giveaways for prizes all year long. Get
I think it's
instant updates
Busher.
on
Yep,
specials,
I said it
events, and
wrong. I
exclusive
knew I
offers
said it
across
wrong.
all Great Life Classic and Premier locations. Plus,
Oh, well,
we're
I'll get it
excited
right
to launch
next
the new
time.
Drum Farm mobile app in 2026 for an even more
Yeah, as long
personalized
as we
experience.
did the read,
Download the Great
we'll
Life
get it right.
KC app and make 2026 your best golf season yet.
This March, turn your play into payday at Rock and Brews Casino. Join us every Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. for spring into $2,500 cash. We're giving away $2,500 cash to every winner every hour. Earn entries all week long. Every 100 points gets you 1 entry. Then get your entries into the hopper before 9:50 p.m. for your chance to win. Winners can score once per night, and the hopper resets every Saturday, so your chances are fresh each week. Spring into big cash.
By the
Only
way,
at Rock and
next
Brews
week,
Casino in Raymond.
Shane's
Rock
going
and
to
Brews
Indy.
Casino. Each win,
Would you
rock
be
on.
able
Home
to,
of the
I don't know what his schedule is going to look like, but would you be able to hang around on Thursday? When do you fly out on Friday for San Francisco?
For the big moments.
Not till the
And
morning.
action just keeps
Friday
getting better
morning or
until
Saturday
a
morning?
National champion is crowned.
Friday morning.
Okay,
Hear all the
so you're going to
action
be
with
out
Westwood
that
One's
Friday.
exclusive coverage of the NCAA men's
correct.
and women's
Okay,
tournaments.
so
Right here.
on the
The road to the
2nd,
Final
I would
Four
probably need you to be
starts
around
here
to
on
record stuff
ESPN
for
Wichita
Shane
92.3
when he has guests and
FM.
stuff.
Progressive presents
Um,
Adjusting to the
Okay,
Suburbs.
so Thursday before or after
You
the
just
shows?
bought a home in the suburbs, but no one told you about
Just
all
kind
the
of depends.
birds. Specifically,
I would say
this one,
before,
who seems to be
because
calling
I'm going
out
to try to get
Roy.
Shane to have the
Roy.
ability to record
Who exactly
on
is
the
Roy?
on the
And why
location,
doesn't
so
he
that
ever
way he can
respond?
just
Maybe Roy
send
is just
files
bird
via
speak
his
for Save
phone
with
to
Progressive
whoever
by bundling your
to
home and auto.
cut audio.
Yes, until Roy
And then on
answers,
Friday, obviously you
we'll
don't have to
never
worry
know.
about Friday. I'll just go
Progressive
and hey,
Casualty
show up
Insurance
at 10
provided
and
service by affiliates
just
and
hang
third-party
out
insurers.
until we're done.
Yeah, I'll be able to pre-record whatever he needs on Thursday.
Hour number one flying by. Of course, we have a lot to unpack from the last couple of days. NCAA tournament action over the weekend. Kansas was included in the NCAA tournament. However, the Jayhawks are not in the Sweet 16. Once again, still not in the Sweet 16. And I know there have been a ton of opinions shared on social media. And I'm sure you all have a lot of things to say as well. So we will get to that coming up in hour number two. I want to get to our Beast of the Week, and I really just want to highlight both Wichita State baseball and softball. So for Wichita State baseball, the Shockers had their first conference series, and no surprise, it was at home. They've been living over there at X Stadium, home of Tyler Field at Gene Stevenson Park. They ended up taking 2 of 3. They opened up conference play. They won 8-3 on Friday. It was a 19-6 dropping by Charlotte on Saturday, but things didn't necessarily pan out well there for Wichita State. They had a couple different things not go in their favor. I know they've been a little bit banged up, but they were able to get the series win yesterday. A very stiff breeze coming from the north, able to get the win 7-2. So a good start for Wichita State baseball. Wichita State softball, though, I'll give them, I guess, co-beast of the week, I suppose, because Wichita State softball had Florida Atlantic come to Wichita. Shockers last year got swept by FAU. The year before that, Wichita State took 2 of 3 from the Owls. Going into this series, you didn't know really what to expect, but it was a huge series because FAU in the previous conference series lost 2 of 3 to East Carolina. Wichita State swept UAB. So you have Wichita State and FAU almost side by side in the conference standings because Wichita State had 2 conference losses after losing 2 of 3 to East Carolina. FAU with 3. A massive series for conference play. And the Shockers, not only did they get a win against FAU, a team that won back-to-back regular season champs, but they got 2 wins. They got the series win, and they did it in walk-off fashion in both victories. It was a 3-2 win on Friday. Trinity Allen goes to the plate facing a gal out of the bullpen who is tied for first for saves in the country, Ainsley Lambert, and Allen just blasts one down the left field line, and it ends up being the game winner. On Saturday, Shockers were up 8-3 in that game going into the 7th. I'd never seen anything like it. FAU goes with 2 pinch hitters. The first one, a solo shot to right field. The second one with a double. They had to combine 3 hits going into that game, and they end up getting these big hits. And it sparked FAU to get 5 runs in the 7th. You're thinking, oh, no, we're tied. Shockers are going to lose this one. And then the number 9 hitter, Mackenzie Rooney, ends up hammering one down the right field line for the walk-off win in 9 innings, 10-8. And then yesterday, Wichita State just couldn't manufacture a lot of offense. But had there been one play go differently in the first inning where Jody Epperson hits one to shortstop, more so shallow left field, Hannah Rivers is there for FAU. If she doesn't make a diving, leaping catch, that would have been 2 runs scored, and maybe a 3-run or 3 runs on the board would have been enough for Wichita State to get the win. Instead, they lose 2-1 yesterday. But a series win for Wichita State softball. Asha Moore just got named the conference player of the week, and rightfully so, because She had 4 homers last week. Yeah, she was pretty darn good. So Asha Moore, Wichita State softball, Wichita State baseball, beast of the week. Jack, do you have one real quick?
I'll go with Alvaro Folgueras for Iowa. 14
Good
points
call.
off the bench in their shocking win over the Gators. And, I would call that maybe the biggest upset of the tournament. I had Florida going a long way, but instead, Big Ten rematch round 3 between Iowa and Nebraska.
Hour 2 straight ahead. Someone just sent me a text. Bill Self, question mark? Well, if you want to talk Kansas basketball, it's coming your way next here on The Pulse.
Wichita's sports leader. ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM. KKGQ Newton.
NBA Monday on ESPN Radio. It's a Western Conference showdown in Big D.
Racing down floor, went up for the jam, and got blocked by Porzingis.
The Golden State Warriors continue their push to the postseason when they face Cooper Flag and the Dallas Mavericks.
Flag on the run to the rim. Oh, jams it home.
Do you think it'll be Dylan Brett next Friday then? More likely than not.
Warriors at the Mavericks. Coverage begins Monday at 9 Eastern.
That is my guess, but now it's pretty much either Dylan or Easton, depending on who gave me.
Presented by Indeed.
Nachos. Yeah, you nachos.
Hey, I'll take some.
Great. And some Frank's Red Hot.
Nah, I'm good.
Oh, you're just going to eat these dry, plain, boring nachos with no Franks. Seriously? Frank it up. Frank it up. Come on, lady. Frank it up. Frank it up. Frank it up. Yeah! Yeah, this guy finally gets it. Hey, look, we're on the Jumbotron.
It's the perfect blend of flavor and heat. Frank's Red Hot. I put that on everything.
The future will be amazing, and that's all well and good. But what about today? You can feel the rush of a 400-horsepower Nissan Z, or climb to new heights in the all-terrain Nissan Frontier. Light up the road in the all-electric Nissan Ariya that feels like a sci-fi dream come true. The future will be great, but today is made for thrill. All you have to do is get in a Nissan and drive. 2023 Ariya and Z not yet available for purchase. Expected availability is this spring for 2023 Z and this fall for 2023 Ariya.
Today on Hey Culligan Smart Home, Smarter Water Softener. Here's Kevin.
Hey, Culligan, can a smart water softener lift those heavy salt bags for me?
Kevin, it can.
Wait, it can?
Yep, the smart high-efficiency water softener from Culligan can alert your dealer when the salt needs to be replaced, and they'll do it for you, so your water stays soft and you stay away from lifting the bags.
I mean, I could lift them if I wanted.
No judgment here, Kevin. We're happy to do it, and we're already on the way. Let us help you out with a free in-home water test with the local Culligan water expert at Culligan.com.
Do you have any of that Bill Self sound
Casino's
from yesterday? Just
join us and
out of
celebrate
curiosity.
all month long and win your share of $18,000 in wins play on Saturdays during the
Mainly the main
Fab
thing
Five
is just him
Frenzy.
talking
Starting
about
March 1st. Then play
just
with
that
your
clip
Club Wins card
of
Saturdays
him
from 9
talking
to 8
about
p.m. as two
the
lucky
situation.
winners will be drawn every hour to each win
Okay, I'll grab that.
$250 wins play.
And if not, no big deal, man.
Crisscross Wins
I can always
Casino's
just
5th anniversary
summarize.
celebration and your share of $18,000 wins play. So close.
That one
so
question
fun.
was
Visit CrosswinsCasino.com.
was definitely unique. I don't think it was even a question.
To the Final Four starts.
No, that's because they let anybody in.
That's what people do, man. All these TikTokers and everything, they just don't know how to ask questions.
Of the NCAA tournament, Final Four, and National Championship game.
Leitner catches, comes down, dribbles, shoots,
Westwood One's play-by-play of the NCAA tournament is brought to you by Janet King, Davis Liquor Outlet, Prochaska Howell and Prochaska Law, and Phoenix Home Care and Hospital.
This is Sports Center.
All right, I got the clip, and it's 47 seconds.
That's perfect.
On the way for the starting lineup,
That's
as well as
just
the bench for the
the
Thunder.
right amount.
Defending NBA champions, ready to welcome back standout forward Jalen Williams from a hamstring injury
And you'll have
tonight
Sports
against the
Commission after
76ers.
this, and that's your
He's
last
missed the
read
last
today.
16
All right, perfect.
games
Thank
with
you.
injury. Oklahoma City is riding an 11-game winning streak. Lakers try to stretch their winning streak to 10 in their visit to Detroit tonight. Luka Doncic averaging 40 points a game the last 9 games, but his offense isn't the only thing that stands out to ESPN's Ramona Shelburne.
Since the All-Star break, guess who leads the NBA in steals? He's top 10 in charges drawn this season. They don't need him to be a great defender. They just need him to be an active participant. And as long as he is participating, that just is a signal to everybody else. Hey, if you play defense, I'm playing defense. I'm not going to be a cone out there. You're not going to be the weak link.
Mexican prospect Kareem Lopez declared for June's NBA draft. He's the number 11 player on ESPN's big board, projected to become the first player born in Mexico to be selected in the first round of the draft. He spent the last 2 seasons in the Australian NBL.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Tuesday, we are less than a month away from the draft. I'll tell you which teams need to go all in to address their biggest needs. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
It's just a public service announcement sponsored by Just Blaze and the good folks at Rockefeller Records.
Fellow Americans, it is with the utmost pride and sincerity that I present this recording as a living testament and recollection of history in the making during our generation.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Ho, H to the O-V. I used to move snowflakes.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 is officially here on this lovely Monday afternoon. It is the Pulse on Wichita Sports Leader, ESPN Wichita, 92.3 FM. Here is the list of all the ways that you can listen to ESPN Wichita. You can watch us on YouTube, Facebook, X, Mr. Gotti. I see all your comments, and I have completely blanked on really looking at the YouTube channel. I apologize, but I know you're a KU boy, and I'm sure you're going to have thoughts here in hour number 2, so I promise I will do a better job here in the second hour. But you can watch us, YouTube, Facebook, X. That's right. You can watch us on those different social media platforms. Stream the show on ESPNWichita.com, the ESPN Wichita app, something that you for sure need to have because that thing is a real thing of beauty. And you can also listen if you have a smart speaker. Tell your smart speaker to tune into ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM or KKGQ. Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Pat Strathman. Producing this thing is Jack Johnson. 316-669-4996. That is the hotline number. If you would like to give us a call, feel free. 316-669-4996. A lot of you prefer the text line. I'm getting all sorts of text messages for Kansas basketball and all sorts of things. 316-247-0923. You've been waiting patiently to talk KU hoops. Hit us up now on the text line. 316-247-0923. Interact on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, YouTube. We got it. Make sure to follow us on all those different platforms. A lot of KU talk here in this hour. Mainly the future of Kansas basketball. We'll get to that question here in a little bit. Mount Rushmore Monday to wrap up the show. But first, I got to tell you about our friends at Twin Peaks. We're going to be at Twin Peaks, by the way. Twin Peaks East coming up on Thursday. Shane's going to be at Booth Creek Wagyu coming up on Thursday afternoon from 12 to 2. And we will be out in Andover for Four Seasons RV, a grand opening for their second location coming up on Friday. So we got a busy week ahead of us. But we're looking forward to Twin Peaks coming up on Thursday. You should be looking forward to Twin Peaks whenever the NCAA tournament's going on because you're going to have so many different TVs. You have the scratch-made bites. They have it all. 29-degree man-sized drafts. Man, I want a 29-degree man-sized draft now. That sounds amazing. You can get them at Twin Peaks, 2 locations in Wichita, the one out west, the one out east as well. Twin Peaks is the number 1 seed for the tournament. Every game on wall-to-wall TVs, 29-degree drafts from tip-off till overtime, and every scratch-made bite makes the highlight reel. Post up at Twin Peaks, eats, drinks, and scenic views. Mark it down. Coming out on Thursday. And I'll just go ahead and tell you this right now. I don't know if Shane really mentioned anything, but I'll go ahead and say it. Wednesday, Thursday, and probably Friday as well. We have tickets to ZZ Top and Dwight Yoakam. That's coming up this weekend. If you're interested in winning free tickets for ZZ Top and Dwight Yoakam, You're going to have to come out and see us. Come out and see us on Wednesday from 12 to 2 to get signed up. We'll select the winner that day. We'll select the winner on Thursday at Twin Peaks. We'll remind you all about it, by the way, when we get to those days. But if you want to win ZZ Top and Dwight Yoakam tickets, we'll give you that opportunity. You have to come and see us on Wednesday, Thursday, and potentially Friday. I know it's a little bit more of a challenge on Friday because it's a day before, so we might not do that. But if you want to win tickets, we got ZZ Top and Dwight Yoakam tickets coming up at Intrust Bank Arena. So be ready for that. Okay. Kansas. St. John's. 316-247-0923. Kansas did not look all that sharp against Cal Baptist in the second half of the opening round game. St. John's, a team that has been playing exceptionally well in the month of March. Zuby Ejiofor, former Kansas Jayhawk, part of St. John's. It's a revenge game for him. You look at Kansas, it's an opportunity to go to the Sweet 16 for the first time since that 2022 national championship run. It's been a while since Kansas has tasted the Sweet 16, which is crazy to think about considering the championship pedigree that Kansas has built for a long, long time now. The way that game played out in the first half, St. John's, a team that normally doesn't rely on shooting threes, Kansas was making it blatantly obvious. You're going to have to shoot threes. And St. John's said, okay, bet. We'll start to chuck them up. And chuck them up they did. And they were able to make all these different threes to set the tone. Bryce Hopkins in particular drains 6 threes in total for the game, but he sets the tone by making these trays. And meanwhile, Kansas, they can't get a shot to go in. They can't. They tried their hardest, but the biggest thing was for them was St. John's and that pressure. St. John's just made life hell for Kansas. And you can just see a Kansas team that was just completely sped up. Just lazy passes, just not truly thinking and really going off of your instincts, and you're reading everything incorrectly. Kansas just was completely out of its element there in the first half. But yet, despite all the things that went in favor of St. John's, it was just an 8-point game at halftime. And I know at halftime you can look at it depending on which side you're on. If you're a St. John's fan, you're thinking, wow, we missed a lot of wide open shots. If you're a Kansas fan, you're thinking, wow, we just missed every shot. And you're only down 8? Okay, sign me up. That's going to be okay. Then the second half, St. John's builds a double-digit lead. Kansas once again flustered, not able to hang on to the ball all that well. They end up with 16 turnovers for the game, resulting in 18 points off those turnovers, which it should have been a lot more for St. John's, but I think a lot of those were dead ball turnovers by Kansas, so maybe that's what negated things. And just when you're thinking Kansas is completely dead in the water, there's no hope left, Kansas makes this ridiculous charge. And I couldn't believe, I'm like, wow, they actually got a little bit left in the tank. I thought that they were just going to lay down and basically take it because St. John's was just a team that was better in many, many facets of the game. And then Kansas makes the charge. They come all the way back. Darren Peterson gets fouled, goes to the line, needs 2 free throws to tie it up. He nails them both. All right, here we go. At the very least, you're thinking, it's overtime for Kansas. And then you see how things played out there for the final possession. You have Kansas players fouling. I think they only had 2 fouls at the time. They foul all the way up to 6 just to waste some clock. And I know that there's some mixed feelings on what really transpired there too, by the way. The strategy for Bill Self and the players. And we'll just go ahead and foul. Just take a little bit of time off and then reach in and foul and just slowly but surely chip away. Just melt that clock as much as possible. I don't necessarily think it was a terrible strategy. I think some people are like, wow, this is the worst thing in the world. I don't think it was the worst thing in the world because I can see it. I can see the vision. You just don't want St. John's to get really comfortable. And the beautiful thing is, if you keep fouling at a certain pace, every time that you foul at a certain location on the floor, they're going to have to inbound at half court or near there. And if you get it down to 3 seconds, 2 seconds, whatever it might be, it'll be a little bit of a challenge to go to the rim. Well, after all of that took place, you're thinking, all right, not a terrible strategy. But now all you have to do is just come up with one stop. Just one stop. All you need, one stop. And you couldn't get it. Dylan Darling, who had no points, not a single bucket all game. Marco Jackson is matched up on him. And Darling just blows by him, goes to the rim, puts it up and through. And that's how Kansas's roller coaster season comes to a close. I still can't get over that. And, of course, you watch the replay and you see that Flory Badunga was just locked up on Zubi Ejiofor, was just very concerned about him, which I get. A lot of people who have been Darren Peterson haters is the best way to describe him. Those that don't like him, well, look, he didn't come off to help. I go back to just how did you let a guy like that get all the way to the rim? It's like Marco Jackson thought that he was going to get help the entire time. Oh, okay, I'll just let him go to the rim. I'll just let him go to the rim, and Flory's going to be there. He'll swat it away. And then as he turns and looks, you can see after the bucket, he's like, come on, I thought I got help. But you can't think that in that situation if you're a Marco Jackson. It's also intriguing to look at what Bill Self did by taking out Cole Rosario for a Marco Jackson. And that's how things played out. That's how Kansas lost. Now, you could also look ahead at, well, if they get the win, they would have faced off with Duke. Do you think that would have been a good matchup for Kansas? You can sit here and go, But you're also talking about, well, Kansas at least could say they made it to the Sweet 16 for the first time since that 2022 national championship run. But they have failed to make it to the Sweet 16 since then. And with this roster, with a projected lotto pick, some would say the number 1 pick in the NBA draft, and that's how you go down, that's how you lose, man, what do you got to do to get back to the Sweet 16? And that's what a lot of people are questioning as of right now. But here's the thing, going into the tournament, I texted Jack this, yesterday, just with Melvin Council Jr. He ended up with 15 points and 9 rebounds. He had a season-high 5 turnovers yesterday. I felt like Melvin Council Jr. was very sped up. There are times where he made some buckets. But the real problem was in the NCAA tournament, and the question going into the season, at least for me, Darren Peterson can make these threes. Well, who's going to be the other guy that can make a three-pointer? Because you're going to need some outside shooting to be able to beat some teams. And Darren Peterson was the only one who made a three there for quite some time. And then all of a sudden, you get a 3-ball from Cole Rosario, who hits the 3. Melvin Council Jr. would get a 3. But you have Darren Peterson, who is the big reason to why they made jumpers from distance, because everyone else simply couldn't. Marco Jackson didn't attempt one yesterday. Tamari McDowell didn't attempt one. Trey White was 0 for 2, ended up with 4 points and 5 rebounds. He was one of those guys that felt like that was truly sped up in the game. Melvin Council took advantage of the pressure at times. Would have liked to see it happen on a more regular basis. But that's how Kansas loses. And yet you see some other things too. Paul Mbia, who's out there with 4 points and 6 rebounds and 13 minutes of work, and you're thinking, well, why couldn't he have received more minutes earlier? Cole Rosario ends up with 5 points, gives you a massive offensive rebound and putback. And a lot of people wondering, well, how come that guy didn't play more throughout the course of the season to develop? It just goes to show you that this year for Kansas was, that roller coaster season. There were certainly more downs than ups this year for Kansas. Way more downs than ups. And Aaron Peterson ends up wrapping up what we believe is Kansas' career with 21 points. Flory Badunga with 12 points and 5 rebounds. Bazubi, Ejiofor, give credit to St. John's. They were a more physical team. They had 4 threes in the second half after having 7 in the first half. They ended up shooting 35 threes in total, but they changed some things in the second half. They realized that they didn't have to rely on the 3 ball. They made some pretty critical ones at times, but Zubi Ejiofor made some pretty impressive moves, and he was able to get some impressive buckets. So I'm sure that felt good for him, the former Kansas Jayhawk, who ended up with 18 points on 6 of 14 shooting. But Kansas was looking dead in the water for pretty much that entire game. Then all of a sudden, you see this charge. Okay, here you go. They're going to find a way to send this thing into overtime, aren't they? And then they're going to beat St. John's. And then the complete disaster of a defensive possession that allows St. John's to win at the buzzer. 316-247-0923. Fitting end, really. Truly, if you look back at the season for Kansas. There were some wins in there that made you go, wow, this team really has some legit potential. Maybe a Final Four team. And then there were some performances in there that made you go, how on earth is this team going to make it to the NCAA tournament? How are they even going to win a game in the NCAA tournament? And for them to lose like that just seemed fitting for Kansas in 2025, 2026. Before we get to the Bill Self stuff, your thoughts, 316-247-0923. And now we get the thoughts from Jack Johnson. Jack, well, good night, sweet prince, I suppose, for the 2025-26 season. So I guess you don't have to sit through any more of those performances, but your main thoughts on what took place yesterday. Kansas had a great charge, tied it up, but then the bucket, the drive at the buzzer to beat Kansas. Woof. Just brutal.
Yeah, it certainly is a brutal way to have your season come to an end. Anytime it's a buzzer beater, even if you were favored or you weren't favored. And that's not the case for Kansas yesterday. That wasn't the case as a 3.5-point underdog. But they really have nobody to blame but themselves. We're going to remember and focus and highlight on Elmarco Jackson not defending as best as he possibly could. What I would rather talk about is being down 14 to a team that could barely shoot the basketball, not being able to inbound the ball. They got nobody to blame but themselves. And it's a fitting end to what this season really was. There were times that they looked just awful. They looked like a team that could barely win a Big 12 game, and there were times that they were as good as beating Arizona without Darren Peterson. And that's what you got in this game. They were able to defend really well at point in times, and then there were times where they were giving up easy baskets and letting guys get wide open looks. And, I would say that in most years when Kansas loses in the round of 32, you might be more bitter about it. If Kansas would have showed their belly when they were down 14 and lost, I mean, it's just a forgettable end to the year. But the fact they clawed back, there was more heartbreak to it. What it really did, though, was just quickly end the inevitable, which was Kansas was not going to win probably another game after that. I don't see a world in which they would have beaten Duke with the way they've looked over the last 8 to 10 games. And I said this on Shane's show. March Madness is the perfect time for delusion for every fan base, right? Even if you've been red hot or you've been ice cold, every fan base talks themselves into why they can make a run. I try to, at times, stay grounded and look at the body of work and say, you've seen 30-plus games of this Kansas team. Do you really think when it matters most, they're all of a sudden going to flip a switch and look unbeatable? We tell ourselves that because you see runs like NC State when they were an 11 seed. You see runs from Florida Atlantic, right, where all of a sudden they catch fire and they win all these games in a row. Those teams, though, still found a way to get momentum rolling into the tournament. Want to know why NC State did it? They won their conference tournament, so they were playing really good basketball before that happened. KU was playing their worst basketball of the season when entering the tournament. And you go back over the Kansas teams that made deep runs in March, none of them were smoked in the way they were in Kansas City. None of them lost, 4 of their last 7 games, including one to Arizona State when they were down 20 at halftime. It was a team, unfortunately, we're going to look back on and when Darren Peterson's averaging 25 to 30 a game in the NBA and say, gosh, if they just could have gotten that for an entire season, what could have been? I'm also not going to just badmouth the team on an entire season because I really liked watching this team for a chunk of the season. There were guys that really cared about being at KU.
Well, way more enjoyable than the last 2 years, but that's also just looking back at how miserable it was the last 2 years too, for that matter.
For sure. I think you can evaluate it a couple different ways. There were moments where you really believed in this team and it felt refreshing to see a Kansas team that could win 5, 6, 7, 8 games in a row. We also can acknowledge that in 2 to 3 years, we'll probably not remember this team or any of the games that happened because that's the way it is at Kansas. If you don't make a deep run in March, nobody cares about your upset win against Arizona. Nobody cares about your win against Iowa State.
The 9-3s against NC State on the road.
Yeah. I mean, you'll remember the players. There's certainly players I remember from previous Kansas teams that didn't go far. And you said, you know what? They were really fun to watch. I'd imagine I'll do that with Melvin Council. I'll do that with Darren Peterson, of course. But you also got to understand the standard. And what Kansas fans are going to do after this is say, that was a disappointing season. That was not enjoyable at the very end. And it's getting frustrating that when you go into the NCAA tournament, nobody fears Kansas anymore. I mean, I'm sure that when St. John's was watching the selection show and saw Kansas pop up as their 4 seed, they said, thank God we get this team that's barely able to finish games and keep it close. They've got an uncertainty with Darren Peterson and how he's going to look. I thought at the very end we were getting to the cusp of what Darren Peterson might have been because he was finishing all of these games. He was getting back in shape. He was starting to hit more shots. But that's it. That's kind of the crushing reality of it. That's all he'll play. That we just watched the last game Darren Peterson will ever play in college. And what Kansas got out of it, a 4 seed and another second-round exit. So, yeah, in summary, very disappointing season. It was not near as bad as last year and how unwatchable that product was. And as I know we'll talk about in the next segment, really the focus is maybe not what type of team they assemble. Will they be looking for a new coach here in a couple of months or probably much earlier than that? I've got my thoughts. I know you got yours, but if that was it for Bill Self, a buzzer-beating loss to St. John's, certainly disappointing. But I know he also said that my career is not going to be defined by one game. And, if we would have won in overtime, we would have said, what an awesome game. In the same way, Kentucky will always remember Otega-Oweh's game-tying shot. You know what that led to? Getting their ass kicked by Iowa State. Right. And it's like, okay, well, then it didn't.
Without Jefferson, by the way. Without Jefferson.
Without Jefferson. Kansas would have said, what an awesome win. Second weekend, absolutely. And they would have lost by Duke rather comfortably. Would have been nice to talk KU basketball another week, but it would have been for another week. They were not going to make it past Duke, in my opinion.
A lot to unpack there for sure. Yeah, the Bill Self thoughts, we're going to put that in the holster, and we will get to that coming up next. Of course, your text message is always welcomed at 316-247-0923. And we'll probably spend some time looking at the roster of Kansas and really look at what might be coming back for 2026, 2027. Will it be good enough for Kansas? What does Kansas have to do in the offseason? We'll get to all those different things. I just can't get over in the NCAA tournament where Darren Peterson was the only one to make threes. And I think Kansas, everyone else outside Darren Peterson, up to the Cole Rosario three, I think was a combined 0 for 13 from deep. And yeah, he comes in and he nails the three, and you're like, well, what the heck? Where has this been? Just goes to show you that Kansas over the last couple weeks of the season, shooting-wise, just had a terrible time shooting. And guess what? If you have a tough time putting the ball in the hole, that's going to be a challenge. Going to be a little bit of a challenge. 316-247-0923. Mr. Gotti, see your comments on YouTube. Keep them coming over there. 316-247-0923 on the text line. Cole Rosario had his chance early in the season, did nothing with it. I suppose you can make that argument, but when your entire team is not doing well shooting-wise and you're just down by 14 to St. John's, why not try something a little bit different? You know what he saw? You know what you saw from Cole Rosario yesterday? Pulls down a key offensive rebound in a big moment, knocks down a three. 316-247-0923. So glad Ejiofor left when Hunter Dickinson was there for 2 years. I know there's a lot of people talking about that for sure. You know, I'm sure Bill Self, looking back at it, would probably change some things. But the guy's a Hall of Fame coach, and he saw what a lot of people saw out there, and that is, wow, Hunter Dickinson in the transfer portal. If we get him, he's going to be such a big-time player. So I can see the vision there for Bill Self. And meanwhile, for Zuby Ejiofor, you know that he's a typical Bill Self type of player, but you know, Zuby Ejiofor also wanted to play a ton of basketball. He had his mind supposedly made up going into the exit meeting, supposedly, that he was going to go somewhere else. So, I mean, I get it. I understand. But also, hindsight's always 20/20. It's always 20/20. When you decide to go down this path instead of that path, it's easy to look back on it now, obviously, after seeing Zuby Ejiofor beat you head-to-head in the tournament. But I can at least see the vision, because Hunter Dickinson was one of those top dogs in the Big Ten. So, I mean, I can kind of see it. Now, of course, I don't think anyone liked what Kansas was like in the last couple of years. That's for sure. 316-247-0923. Subbing out Rosario, putting in a Marco at the end was a mistake. I would agree. It very much was a mistake there. Marco Jackson, suppose he's the best on-ball defender. Turns out, lets a guy go all the way to the rim. And someone said, looks like a chance of beer. I'll get a hold of Chance for you. All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to play a clip from Bill Self. A big question for a lot of people. What's next for the future for Kansas basketball? Of course, your thoughts always welcome at 316-247-0923. More of the Pulse when we return.
This is the Pulse on Wichita's new sports leader, ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM.
What's up, Wichita? So, it's March, almost April. We still have a little ways to go. But I do want to remind you about the Wichita Corporate Challenge that's being put on by our friends at the Wichita Sports Commission. If you haven't heard about the Corporate Challenge, well, it's taking place in August. You get a bunch more information at wichitasports.com, but here's really the gist of it. It's a corporate Olympics. You get a chance to sign up your team. It's a great team building exercise. You get great networking opportunities. You can promote being healthy. Doesn't that sound great for your squad? I think that sounds pretty darn amazing for your business. They have all sorts of events. Of course, if you want to play 3-on-3 basketball, they got that. But if you just want to stick to trivia, that's fine too. They got all sorts of events for you all. And a new twist this year, you can choose a local 501, and you can choose a nonprofit organization, and at the end you will get an opportunity. If you do well, if you're the top dog of the event, you actually get the opportunity to get something to use for that local nonprofit organization. I think that sounds amazing. Get your team signed up now. If you want to sign up, go to wichitasports.com, or if you want to check out some sponsorship opportunities, they have that as well. It's the Wichita Corporate Challenge taking place in August. Check it out on wichitasports.com.
Let's get crackin'. Rockin' Brews Casino is turning up the heat with all-you-can-eat crab legs every Friday. From 3 p.m. to 9 p.m., feast on never-ending delicious crab legs, plus your choice of Caesar or Rockin' House salad, seasoned corn, potatoes, and top it all off with ice cream dessert, all for just $69.95. But hurry, last call for new crab orders is 8:15 p.m. That's every Friday at Rockin' Brews Casino, I-35, exit 231 in Bremen. Rock your Friday nights and get your claws on this feast. Rockin' Brews Casino. Eat, win, rock on. Owned by the Caw Nation.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. On that heavy shelf you hung yesterday. Turns out you didn't use enough anchors. Wait, you didn't use any anchors? Now you've got an open floor plan. Trendy. And if you have the wrong home insurance, you could need a wall of money to fix this. So get home insurance with Allstate and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Based on coverage and limits selected. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Vehicle and Property Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
In Kansas, truth is told in speed. Wide open, full bore, and no mercy. Season momentum earned 3 and 4 wide. Loud, intense, inches predicting outcomes. Blink and miss.
They bang sideways.
What just happened? Pure speed whipping across the plains.
Hell yeah, boys!
NASCAR weekend at Kansas Speedway, April 18th and 19th. Get your tickets now at kansasspeedway.com.
Golf season is here, and everything you need is in the palm of your hand with the Great Life Kansas City app. Download it today to book tee times at the best available rates, use the built-in digital scoreboard with GPS yardage, and enter weekly and season giveaways for prizes all year long. Get instant updates on specials, events, and exclusive offers across all Great Life Classic and Premier locations. Plus, we're excited to launch the new Drum Farm mobile app in 2026 for an even more personalized experience. Download the Great Life KC app and make 2026 your best golf season yet.
Past the midway point in hour number 2 here on the Pulse on Wichita Sports Leader, ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM. I have a feeling we will be getting some more text messages here at 316-247-0923 because the question is, what is next for KU men's basketball? After that loss at the Horn to St. John's yesterday, Bill Self was talking to media members following the game, and I just want to play one clip. And the one clip has to deal with him talking about, well, his future as the head coach of Kansas men's basketball. Jack, roll the clip with Bill Self at the podium.
Given what you've gone through on and off the court, how much time will you take to reflect upon what is next on this stage of your career?
Well, I haven't really gone through much on the court. You know, I've gone through some stuff off the court, so I'll get back and get with family and visit and see what's going on. I love what I do. You know, I need to be able to do it where I'm feeling good and healthy to do it, fairly well. So I'll get back home and it'll all be discussed.
Michael Swain, 24/7 Sports. You talked a lot about the physicality going into this game. How do you feel like your team matched up in that regard?
I thought great after the start of the game. I thought the first 5.
Well, there's your little clip there from Bill Self. And when I heard that, I thought to myself, I think he really, truly will take his time this time. Not saying last time he didn't take his time. But I think it is different now. It is different now. Another episode took place for Bill Self. And when that happened at the time, I was thinking, I wonder if that will change his outlook on things a little bit more. Now, I know a lot of fans are wanting to see Bill Self retire. Would love your thoughts. 316-247-0923. You have Kansas failing to reach the Sweet 16 once again. But I don't think it's necessarily the Sweet 16 aspect as it is just what has taken place over the last couple of years for Kansas basketball. Kansas ends up bringing in Darren Peterson, this freshman phenom. Of course, everyone is very well with NIL and the type of money that comes with that. So naturally, your expectations are, which are already high for Kansas fans, they become even higher because, well, this guy is different. And then he ends up having the health episode himself. Can't stay healthy there for a good portion of the season. I think you started to see a little bit what he was going to bring to the table at the very, very end. But I know that doesn't help out, Bill Self, as Kansas ends up with a 4 seed, which there for a little bit we're thinking 5. Then you look back at the last couple of seasons, Kansas has a 7 seed. Boy, that just never happens. That should never happen at Kansas as a blue blood program. The expectation for Kansas fans rarely is Sweet 16. It's almost always Final Four or bust pretty much every single year. Every year it feels like it's got to be Final Four or bust. Well, in 2022, the guy won a national championship, and that wasn't that long ago. But things have for sure changed for college basketball. The landscape is very, very different now. It's challenging. And you've seen some individuals adapt, and they have found success. I think there's one tweet that's out there that's highlighting the coaches that are in the Sweet 16 that are older, in their late 60s, early 70s. These guys are still finding success. They have found ways to adapt. But at Kansas, since that 2022 run, it has been a major, major challenge for Bill Self. And there are a lot of people that want to see him retire. I would just point out, always be careful what you wish for. You see some guys end up, the bigger guys like Jay Wright ends up getting out of it for Villanova. It's not like Villanova has been in position to win a national championship. You have North Carolina. Hubert Davis takes over there. A lot of Tar Heel fans want him gone. You have some guys that end up going elsewhere. I mean, gosh, though John Calipari is definitely not the right point here, but Kentucky wanted John Calipari to go somewhere else. You bring in Mark Pope. They ended up spending what? $20 million on a roster this year. Did I read that correctly? Reportedly. Kentucky is a blue blood. Kentucky ends up getting destroyed by Iowa State. Almost didn't win that first round game if it wasn't for an incredible bank shot to send it in overtime and then ultimately beat Santa Clara. So I will always preface that by saying be careful what you wish for. But I do think this feels different because of another medical episode for Bill Self. And even he is aware of what the situation is like. Surely he has to be, right? Understanding that things have been challenging these last couple of years. Earlier today, we saw Greg McDermott from Creighton officially call it quits. He's riding out into the sunset. Will Bill Self follow? If he wants to come back, you for sure want him to come back. All those people that are just saying, well, just get rid of him. It's wild to see that and to have that type of feeling. But some changes for sure need to be happening. A different outlook, a different mindset of how to navigate college basketball now. I think that's true. I think last year we talked about just Kansas potentially getting a general manager, just having someone construct the roster and have Bill Self just be the coach. Those are things that you talk about now in today's day and age for college athletics. But I'm for sure that Bill Self will take a little while to truly get things figured out here. Because after having another medical episode, it just makes you wonder. If he does come back, it just makes you wonder how long will he last, even if he does come back. 2 years, 3 years, that ends up being the case until another medical episode happens. Guy loves what he does. But it just makes you wonder, after listening to that, like what's really going to happen here in the next couple of days. We'll certainly monitor the situation. I'm not one that says that Bill Self needs to be shown the door like some people. But you look at these last couple of years, maybe he tried to go for this all-star type of roster a couple of years ago. This past year, he really put his chips into one big player in Darren Peterson. Flory Badunga required a little bit more money. And then he went after guys who truly cared to play for Kansas, which is why this past season it was a little bit more enjoyable to watch Kansas at times this year because of some of those guys that actually looked like they cared to put on a jersey that says Kansas on the front of them. I'm really curious to see how Bill Self goes about his business in the offseason. If he does come back, what changes will be made for this Kansas team to try to get things going? Because, Jack, you brought up the best point. Kansas used to be the big bad wolf in the Big 12 for many, many, many years. And now you have Arizona not afraid. Houston never afraid with Kelvin Sampson. Never afraid. Iowa State has been pretty damn good in the Big 12 under TJ Otzelberger. And we can go on and on and on about the other teams in the Big 12. Kansas just doesn't have that name that scares you anymore. And Kansas has to try to find a way to navigate through stuff to try to get back to that point. All right, Jack. I am one who would say I don't necessarily want to show Bill Self the door. But after listening to that, it does make you wonder if he will come back. And if he does, how long will he stick around? There are a lot of factors to this, a lot of pieces to it. And maybe the most important one is just his health. But how does Bill Self go about navigating through this offseason to try to rebuild and get Kansas, simply put, just back to the Sweet 16, back to a program that traditionally you would peg them as a 2 seed or as a 1 seed, maybe even a 3, but you're never thinking 4, 5, 6, or 7. What's your take on Bill Self after that buzzer-beating loss and after hearing him in the press conference yesterday?
First of all, I would say that in no world would Kansas ever show Bill Self the door, right? So anybody out there that envisions Kansas basically pushing him out, no, that's not going to be the reality here. If Bill Self wants to coach again next year, he'll be back.
Right.
Yeah, he's going to coach. And that's not a bad thing either. You know, it's been a rough couple of years since winning the national championship, but still, I mean, you can't take for granted what expectations Kansas has year in, year out, what they're able to do in a tough conference. It's not that you can be okay with it for the next 2 to 3 years, because that just won't fly. I mean, losing in the round of 32 every single year is going to get stale. It's going to get tiresome. And quite frankly, it already has. But there's a couple of factors, in my opinion. Number one, it's a game at the end of the day. It's a sport. The most important thing here is that Bill Self needs to take care of himself. There's a lot of years left to live after coaching college basketball. And if there's any doubt whatsoever that he can't do it to the best of his ability, he's going to make the smart decision, even if this is his last year. Like if he finds out a month down the road, probably not good to coach again, I don't think he'll have any issue. I mean, it'll be tough, but he can live with that decision. He's accomplished a lot in his career. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. I mean, he already is a Hall of Famer, but all-time great. Nobody can refute that. From a future standpoint, this is where Kansas might be in a little bit of the crossroads, because North Carolina could very well be looking for a coach this offseason as well. If they decide to move on from Hubert Davis, that'll become one of the more coveted jobs out there. And if Kansas is looking for one, now you're going to have to compete with another blue blood. It's also, you got to pull from the past in Kentucky. Kentucky's job came open, and they said, we can get just about anybody we want. We can go out there and get Dan Hurley. We can get Billy Donovan from the NBA. They didn't get any of them. And even, I believe Jerome Tang turned them down at one point. I know Arkansas offered him, but, Kentucky was casting a pretty wide net, and they had to settle for Mark Pope, who's been an absolute disaster with the money that is funneled into that program. So it's not this perfect science of Bill Self leaves, now you got Dusty May or Tommy Lloyd. I'm sure they would be in the running, but it's not that easy. It's not going to be this throw money at them and it's going to work out. There's a chance that after this year, depending where Michigan goes, depending where Arizona goes, that they realize those two guys are going to be coveted by blue blood programs, and they're going to pay up and keep those guys there. That's why you're at this difficult crossroad, because if you have Bill Self come back next year, you would still have a top 15 roster in all of basketball. But let's say 365 days from now, Pat, we're discussing the same thing, where Kansas was eliminated too early. And now what does the coaching carousel look like? Tommy Lloyd might not be available. Dusty May might not be available. All those big name coaches that are on the top boards out there, they're locked into where they are. Their feet are where they're at, and they're happy with it. And that's where Kansas would be in a little bit more of an uncomfortable position, because if it's not this year, Bill Self's not coaching past next year. Like it's either the end of the road now or it's the end of the road next year. And the uncertainty of what the coaching carousel will look like then, that's what would give me pause. Whereas if he calls it quits now, I'm sure Kansas would go throw the book, everything in their pockets to get Tommy Lloyd from Arizona or to get Dusty May from Michigan. And those are two programs that still have a lot of money too. And they are going to be getting statues years down the road because of how good they're going to be. I'm also curious, though, that if you were offered that job, the University of Kansas, who's only had a handful of coaches, can you turn it down? Well, I guess only time will tell, and time will only tell as well when it comes to Bill Self coaching next year.
Well, what about the other aspect is that you brought up, only a handful of coaches? How many people are going to be spooked about replacing Bill Self? Because wasn't that part of the problem as well? Just with, heck, with North Carolina in some ways. With I think a lot of people are like, I don't know. It's the same thing. You look at Alabama football. I know this is a different sport, but Kalen DeBoer, everyone just wondering, like Dan Lanning, you can offer him a boatload of money, but he might just go, I'll stay in Oregon. I got a lot of money. I don't want to go follow a guy. I don't want to be Nick Saban's replacement. I don't want to deal with that nonsense. I know this is a little bit different because, again, it's Bill Self who has a couple of national championships and not Nick Saban, who, obviously dominated college football for a long, long time. But it makes me wonder what Kansas can go out there and get. And I feel like there are a lot more programs now that are a lot more schools who are more than happy to maybe fork over a boatload of money to try to keep their guy. I feel like you see more of that now than maybe before, at least at the big level. But it is Kansas calling, as you brought up, and that's what changes things a little bit. But I almost wonder too, just how many people want to go, I want to sign up for that because, well, because there's only a handful of coaches. Well, if you go there, the pressure is just going to be absolutely insane as well. 316-247-0923. We'll keep you posted on all those things. I'm sure Bill Self's going to take a boatload of time to truly sort things out and to try to figure out what's best for him. The number one thing is that obviously for Bill Self, go be healthy. That's the number one thing for Bill Self. Just be healthy. That's what people want. Be healthy. And if you're healthy enough to do the job for another year and you have a bad taste in your mouth from this past year, then okay, go after one more. But if you're not truly healthy enough to keep doing it, or if you just, truly and lose passion. Although he's already said that he loves what he does. So I don't think that's going to be the case. It truly comes down to health and whether or not his body can take another year of being the head coach of Kansas. All right, let's roll. Let's come back and we'll do Mount Rushmore Monday. That's straight ahead on the Pulse.
You're tuned into The Pulse on ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM.
Hey, folks, Jason Horowitz here from Westwood One with an NCAA tournament schedule preview. The first weekend of March Madness is in the books, and now it's on to the Sweet 16. This Thursday, the action will come from Houston and San Jose. Then on Friday, the spotlight.
Arizona State hired St. Mary's head coach. That's a pretty good hire.
To catch
I think
all
so
the
too.
action, be sure to stay tuned for Westwood One's exclusive coverage of this year's NCAA men's and women's tournaments right here.
Did you see Wes Miller landing in Charlotte?
O'Reilly is fast.
I missed that one, actually.
Yeah, it's actually good for Charlotte, honestly, because that'll be a shot in the arm for them.
Free set of brake pads when you buy 2 qualifying brake rotors. Ask the professional parts people about additional brake pad and rotor upgrade options available at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
For over 55 years and 2 generations, the Southwestern Remodeling Professionals have been providing homeowners in the Wichita area with a truly unique luxury remodeling experience. From the initial consultation through project design and production, our team provides concierge-style service with a true focus on the best quality products and professional installation. Are you ready to experience something truly different? Give us a call today at 263-1239 or visit southwesternremodeling.com.
Seven Clans First Council Casino and Resort is turning 18, and we're cranking up the action in March with the hottest seats yet. $500 hot seats on Thursdays, $1,000 hot seats on Fridays, $1,500 hot seats on Saturdays. All you have to do is earn entries on your Seven Clans Players card to be eligible to win. And that's not all. Every Saturday, we're giving away a different grand prize, a side-by-side, golf cart, vacation getaway, and $15,000 in cash. It's easy to see why winners play here. It's our 18th birthday. You're taking home the spoils. Seven Clans First Council Casino and Resort, Highway 77 in Newkirk.
Wichita, your next favorite coffee stop is right here. At Mocha's Coffee and Eatery, enjoy gourmet coffee, fresh pastries, hearty breakfast, and savory lunches, all in a cozy, welcoming space made for your everyday moments. From morning fuel to midday bites, Mocha's fits right into your routine. With 4 locations across Kansas, 2 right here in Wichita, and a 3rd Wichita location coming soon, great coffee and food is never far. Enjoy fresh flavors and shared moments at Mocha's.
Hi, this is Jeremy Huckabee with Janet King of Wichita. College basketball season is heating up, and we're proud to be the official corporate partner of Kansas Jayhawk Athletics. Just like championship teams rely on strong fundamentals, businesses across Wichita rely on Janet King for professional, dependable commercial cleaning. From offices and medical facilities to schools and industrial spaces, our local franchise owners can deliver a clean you can count on. If you're ready to see what it looks like when cleaning is done the right way, let us show you. Visit janetking.com today to schedule your free cleaning consultation.
Game day isn't
We'll
just
only
a
have
moment.
about a
It's
minute
ritual.
or two-
The real
2 minutes and 20
MVPs of
seconds.
Your watch
All right,
party,
rapid
Auburn
fire.
Spirits and Auburn Wine and Spirits. For tailgate-ready brews to top-shelf picks, Auburn Spirits and Auburn Wine and Spirits.
Oh, I guess
keeps
forgot
your
about
lineup
McNamara
stacked
going to
and your
Syracuse.
cooler
Also,
championship ready.
Hodgson went to
The couch or hosting the whole
he ended up leaving
squad. Trust
South Florida.
Auburn Spirits at 13303 West Maple, West Wichita, and Auburn Wine and Spirits at 320 North Rock Road, East Wichita.
Well, we got to go quick here. We have overtime coming away tonight at 6 o'clock. Sren Petro with the program on deck. We usually wrap things up with the Mount Rushmore Monday Rapid Fire Edition. What do we got, Jack?
Well, in honor of Kansas being eliminated by a buzzer beater, give me the Mount Rushmore Monday for best buzzer beaters in March Madness.
I mean, come on. Villanova. Nova for the championship. Jim Nance with the call. Oh, that's still one that I think about so much. So give me that one. That is number one up top.
Yeah,
of
I'll
my list.
go with that one as well.
Chris Jenkins for the championship. Oh, Jay Wright, just boom. That was pretty spectacular. I mean, Christian Laettner, as much as you hate Duke, I mean, you gotta put that one in 19. I mean, he also had one in 1990, I guess, too. But 1992 one is the most famous one that he had. So give me Christian Laettner in 92 for Duke.
How about we do one in the Wichita region? Jordan Poole's game winner over
Love
Houston.
Love it. Absolutely love it. That's a great one. One that a lot of fans are definitely going to remember for sure around here. Lorenzo Charles, NC State, 1983. Does that count? Surely it does.
Oh, yeah, it counts.
It's a buzzer.
Yeah.
It's a buzzer beater, right? It counts.
My number 3, half-court heave from Paul Jesperson of Northern Iowa.
Yeah, that was actually going to be the last one for me. And, I mean, gosh, that was a good one. I know it's you and I, but, yeah, I'll take that one as well. All right, your last one.
I'm going to do Bryce Drew of Valpo.
Valpo. Good work. All right, we got to run. Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll be back at it again tomorrow at 2 o'clock. For producer Jack Johnson, I'm Pat Strathman saying so long, Wichita. We will see you tomorrow at 2 o'clock.
All clear.